Local acts only. Local acts only.
What?
Local acts only.
Yeah. Okay.
Local acts only.
Yeah. What?
Local acts only.
What a way to start it off.
Welcome to Local Acts Only, the podcast hosted by Joe and Jack. We are sitting here with George, Haas, a.k.a. the Black Raven.
Hi.
And Darius, a.k.a. D, a.k.a. Zero to Dero.
What it do?
What's up, boys?
What's happening?
How you doing?
You know, we're always doing. I actually want to talk about your names a little bit.
Our Instagram names?
Yeah.
Or just
Like,
our regular names?
No. Yeah, who named you George?
I think
No.
my dad.
No, your Instagram
he's
names.
dead.
Is there like
I was like, damn.
I'm kidding.
Got real fucking personal.
is there like significance to
Blackjack Raven?
yeah Blackjack?
Oh, that's
Blackjack
like
Raven.
my alter ego that I like to think of myself as. Like, if I were to change my name, it would be Jack Raven.
Oh yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the like any meaning behind it that you want to explain?
Well, I think for just ego reasons, it just sounds good.
Sounds
Two,
sick.
it's my mom's last name, Raven.
Ah.
So I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And then my favorite writer is Jack Kerouac, so I was like combining these worlds, and I was like, I feel like I could look like a Jack Raven and personify it. So it's like my alter ego.
Blackjack Raven sounds like a bounty hunter in a Western movie.
That sounds cool
dude.
too. I'll take that. Yeah,
sounds sick.
That's
I
my
can't wait to see it like printed on books, Blackjack Raven. And then
one day. I hope so.
we got Zero to Dero over here.
Dero, man. Dero came from like Mortal Kombat.
I never played. I know.
Mortal
yeah,
Kombat
yeah.
Sub-Zero. He's very cold because
Oh,
my
nice.
flow is just too cold. It's at zero, so just put my first name starts with D, so Zero to Dero. That's how it goes.
That's rad.
I love it.
I got like hard nipples from just listening to that. Holy shit, it was that cold?
Shit.
So I just want to start out by saying, in general, like I feel like I'm already gonna get deep.
What?
You guys are like mean a lot to me personally. Like I've been inspired a lot by you, George, with your writing and
Thank
to
you.
be more open about my writing. And like I fucking love you, Darius. Like
Yeah.
your
I love you
bass,
too, bro.
your bass playing like really inspires me. I just love the shit that you guys do. Do you guys want to talk at all about how like I've been thinking about this a lot recently, like how important it is the people that you like surround yourself with to you guys?
Oh, that's
Do
very
you-
important. That's
Do you
very
find
important.
that?
You know what I mean? The people around you are going to determine where you're going to be. You know what I mean? So if you have driven people around you, you're going to be driven. If you have people who don't really do much, you're not going to do much. You know what I mean?
For
Because
sure.
at the end of the day, the people around you are going to affect you. So it is what it is.
When did you like?
Definitely.
Sometimes
you-
you got to separate. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Did you realize that earlier on in life or like later?
Early on, no.
Yeah.
I would say later. I would say later on.
Yeah. I remember.
You live
like,
and you learn, you know?
Yeah, always hearing it and always being like, nah, whatever, like doesn't matter. And then like one day it just clicked and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta start being around people that I want to be more like.
And
you know?
sometimes, you know what I mean? It's the best thing you could do is be alone for a little bit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Collect yourself.
For sure.
Really know exactly, you know what I mean? Stick to your personal truth. And the
Yeah.
right people will come along, you know?
That's so true.
That's
So true.
that's something that we were kind of talking about the other night. I was pretty drunk, so I don't remember the exact specifics of it. I kind of feel bad that you guys had to have the
No,
conversation.
it was a
with
great
me.
conversation. It was
I
very
just, like,
heartfelt.
Bombed in on it, but like the importance of like taking time for yourself, really. You know?
That's very important, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And what you said before, you know, how important it is to surround yourself around like the people who help drive you and stuff. I noticed that a lot. Like recently, even like in some of the other episodes of the podcast, I talked about like, you know, we've talked about lack of motivation or like hard to like do things, and especially like you know, the funk in your mind of, you know, creating music and you know, the mental blockage that happens with that. Ever since we started doing this podcast every night, I'm like, damn, I gotta try harder. It's like there's so many like talented people out here that's just like, and experiencing, you know, just sitting down and talking with people like you guys helps me be like, yeah, you know, it helps me find my motivation to.
Everybody's got their own obstacles,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone handles them differently,
Yeah.
you know, so.
It took me to find like people who are already like have that attitude of being 100%. And wow, that's scary. And
the Leaning Tower of Pisa up there.
before I was just always hanging out with kids and just like we'll make music and just basically make the equivalent of noises all the time, and it just never really stuck, and I would just get bored easily. But it wasn't really, I always thought it was someone else. It was always somebody else's fault for like
Oh yeah.
their lack of musicianship, like quote unquote musicianship.
Mm.
But then I had to find out to be around other people. No, it was just me.
You're just choosing.
It was
the
who
wrong
I
people.
was that was surrounding myself
Oh,
with people
yeah.
who didn't want to be 100%. And then when I met people and played with people, and when they play, they're not just putting 50% or like they're just kind of just playing. They're like trying to do something with what they're doing in that moment. And that has always inspired me. Like I can mention Chris Nabil, like biggest
Oh my God.
inspiration.
I
His
can't
work
wait to
ethic
talk to
is
him.
just unfathomable. And that inspired me. Like, look at this kid. He picked up guitar in 2 years. He's better than most people I know.
Us talking about him actually like inspired me. A lot of things inspired me to start like really grinding, like learning how to play music,
Yeah.
and like that talk about him really inspired me. Because what did you say? He sat and played for like how long? You said
8
like
hours a
eight
day.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was
That's
playing for
nuts.
8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if I put in 30 minutes a day, I'll get out whatever. If I put in an hour, I'll get out like a lot more than that. And then if I like do even more than that, like I'm gonna get more than that. You know?
Exactly.
And you just like,
I think like every day you gotta act like you're rehearsing for like the biggest audition
yeah.
like for your life, and if you just do that and have that attitude, I think like that reflects on how you're gonna approach like what you want to do. But I think like with that, we easily get so lost in putting a lot of pressure on ourselves,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then we just lose faith right away.
Yeah.
And I think like this is where having good habits of just keep remind yourself to be humble, like don't put too much pressure on yourself. These qualities of like what we're talking about, why it's important, these personal development things, these self-help things,
Yeah.
so integral for music because who you are reflects in your art.
Oh yeah.
And that's what
No
Dero
doubt.
said.
No doubt.
Like he said that at the fire last
Mhm.
time, and he, what did you say? I'm gonna paraphrase. It's like I see like even the negativity is coming out, even like when I'm not taking care of myself.
Oh yeah.
And you said it like really, just so profoundly. It was just.
I
Like,
can't even remember exactly how I said that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. No, I kind of remember a little bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
it's interesting you bring that up because when it comes to mental health and just general mentality amongst musicians, it's a very important thing, and a lot of musicians, you know, go through that, whether it be from personal life or even just the insecurity of being a creator. But I've heard a lot of, you know, fellow musicians or people say that like it sometimes feels like you're a better artist or a better creator when you're at the worst part of your life or when you are the worst version of yourself you can be.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
what
that all
Davey
depends on
talked
like the
about.
person. You know what I mean?
Say again?
Because like I guess that all depends like on the person. Because
Yeah.
you know what I mean. There's like a time where like I guess I wasn't in the best place in my life, but because of those times, I'm like proud to be where I am today. You know what I mean? Like I see the growth.
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
I feel like the way I make music, it reflects on like how I'm doing personally. So like I feel like within this past year, I've seen or like experienced a lot of growth within myself with like staying consistent and like trying to build healthy habits. So like that goes over into my music and like things are going a little more fluently now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, do you feel like if you were to take two songs, one that you wrote during a bad time or one that you wrote during a good time in your life, like, do you feel like there's a difference between quality or does it just hit different, really?
I would say the quality is definitely going to be better, like, versus when I wrote something like in the past that, like, when I wasn't in that great of a place. But that's just because I stayed consistent, and like I'm always working on music. So like, you know, no matter what, you stay consistent and time goes on, you're going to look back and you're going to see the growth within your craft. You know what I mean? But like, as of creativity wise, it all comes from a different place. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's a sad song or a happy song, like, it's from a different place, like from within. You know what I mean? So the creativity, I feel like, is still at its level. It's just like the craft and the quality, I would say, is better.
Oh,
You just mentioned like adding healthy habits to your like daily routine in your life.
Yeah.
What are like some of the like healthy habits that you have that you do?
You know, you can even start with something small, just like waking up and making your bed right away.
Yeah.
You know, after that, I make a cup of tea and then I just start saying my thank yous. Just, you know, thankful for a home, thankful for, you know what I mean? You gotta make sure you keep yourself in check and be thankful for the little things so you can make room for when the bigger things come. You know what I mean? So it's just something I do to keep me humble, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
I like the idea of like just making your bed in the morning because I was reading this book recently. I told you about it. Yeah. Sorry. It actually throws me off. I was reading this book recently and it was talking about how like if you treat your space, all of your spaces as sacred, like you're gonna have more respect for them and be more appreciative of them. Like, for example, like not like just throwing your clothes on the floor because it like doesn't look as nice, and you're not gonna have as much respect for yourself or your space if you're just like throwing shit everywhere.
I definitely would have to say that I feel like I'm more productive when I pretty much just like keep my area clean.
Yeah.
So I could say that I agree with that, you know?
Yeah,
100%.
The more clutter around me, the more clutter in my mind.
It's definitely a reflection.
Yeah,
It's definitely a reflection,
it's really,
you know?
it's really, really important. Stuff that you like normally would not think of to matter. Like it makes
it's
like,
OCD.
the biggest difference.
I think like a habit, it's like if you're gonna learn how. I had this thought recently. It's like talking about being the 100%. It's like if you're not gonna be 100% with what you do with what you want to do the most, then think about trying to be 100% with what you do with the mundane tasks throughout your day, like cleaning the dishes. Like I was doing that. I was trying to practice that today. It's like, okay, I'm gonna really intentionally clean every dirty spot in the dish that I just used. And I think when you intentionally do something to try to be 100% with what you do, and then like I practice meditation. I'm like, I'm going to try to focus and I'm not going to try to be perfect in this practice. That's not meditation anymore. But I'm just going to intentionally allow myself to be what I think is 100%. And when you do that, you only exceed your expectations, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I'm going through the craziest results right now as you see it, you know, like, look at me, I'm perfect. Like, no, it's not like that. But I think it's just like, it's a philosophy I've been really sticking with. And it's kind of stoic in a way.
Yeah.
The more growth, like the more you realize you have a lot more to learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, the more,
For sure.
I mean, like, the more you pay attention to how you water, the seeds are just going to grow.
that's rad, man. And I love how, you know, both you guys pay attention to like the little things, like either washing the dishes or just generally like going through the things you're thankful for in the morning, like
Because that's where it all starts, man.
Yeah, those things are very
I
important.
like that a lot too.
And I feel like a ton of people, like more people than should, have a problem doing that or a struggle with doing that kind of.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever struggled with like, you know, I guess overcoming the little things or even just like becoming thankful for the little things?
Oh
like you were
yeah,
saying, Dero?
no doubt. There's times where, you know, I'm not in mentally I feel like the best place, and then it almost starts to feel like guilt comes about because it's like, you know, I realize that I should be thankful for this right now, but my mind will be focused on what I should have, and that's where like I'm wrong. That's where you got to take a step back and ground yourself, and that's like why it's important for me to wake up every day and say my thank yous and get that routine of like the good habits. You know what I mean? So
That's awesome, man.
you know, you have that consistency, and then you know, when you get to that place, that low place, it's easier to dig yourself out of it. You know what I mean? Because you've been consistent with the good things. So
That's amazing. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
Dude. I love that.
That's great answer.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier to, you guys know Nick Santiago, right? The kid that we work with.
Nick Santiago.
Yeah, he has like black hair on one side and blonde hair on the other side.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about now?
I
yeah.
don't know.
Young
You don't know?
vigilante.
He was here. He came
I think he
later
left
on.
before.
Yeah, I think he left.
Anti-hero on Instagram.
Yeah, shout
young
out to
vigilante.
Oh, I've seen his
Anti-Hero,
Instagram. I've seen his Instagram.
7,000, I think, right?
700, 7,000.
700, whatever it is. But we were talking, and it was like we were talking about like moving out and stuff, and like the things that we want versus the things that we can have right now, and you just like can't think about the things that you want really. Like I want like a lot of stuff for the podcast, right? But like it's just not attainable right now. But
You
if I
gotta
just
look at
focus on right
now.
now. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like what
right
can you
now,
do with
this
the
moment,
move
exactly
right now?
And
You know
we-
what I mean? Because you'll get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just as long as you
You're
keep
gonna get
focusing
there,
on
you
the
gotta
right now.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's-
Remember, Sierra said the same thing. It was like
Yeah.
if you focus too much on the future, you already missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
that's pretty dope.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm always much more impressed by like bands or people in general with what they use with what they have.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always liked artists who just always had this like minimalist approach, or their stories when they recorded their first album and they were like, yeah, we had only like a cassette tape and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And then people go crazy for that shit and they try to recreate that, and that's why lo-fi is such a popular thing, because it's such a DIY approach.
Love it.
And I think
Oh.
and why it becomes relatable is because we all can relate to being broke.
Yeah, you know, it's
It
cool. I
sucks.
never thought of lo-fi that way. That's really interesting. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think like anything, like why we're drawn to certain things is because we can relate to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like certain music, you know.
For
We
sure.
see ourselves in it, so we want to become it. But that
That's-
becomes also not only like a fork in the road for me, because it's like that becomes delusional. I think a lot of people get caught up in the delusion of who they see themselves as when they
Mhm.
become like a musician. It's not even a musician anymore. It's just like their idea of what a musician looks
Yeah.
like. And
That's
what
heavy.
they
and
man.
then
what they
as,
should
then
be.
as
Holy
it
shit.
is being an actual musician, just playing for the sake of playing for yourself
Yeah.
and just wanting to do it and entertain people. But people have underlying intentions, I think,
Yeah.
and they don't,
sometimes.
and they're in denial. We're all in denial of our own delusional self. And I think like, sorry, I'm ranting, but
No. Keep going. Man.
Rant away.
It's something I've been really noticing for the past 2 years and becoming aware of since I've been studying a lot of Buddha philosophies. And the hardest thing that I've always struggled with is delusion, because, you know, we go through our outfits are kind of always dependent on who we think we are. Like when I wear this, I feel good because I think I look good.
Like the
so-
clothes we pick out before we leave the house
Yeah.
is the image we want
To
other people to see, rather than necessarily who we are. All
And
the
that's
time.
fine. That's healthy. Like
Right.
that, I think that's a normal thing. But I think it's good to have that thought. Like, what am I doing this for? And that becomes a scary thought,
Yeah, that's
because
a really
that becomes existential.
that's a
And
rabbit
to
hole I
go
don't
back to
down
music,
much.
what am I doing this music for? Am I doing it because I want to do it, or am I just doing it because I want people to see me doing it?
Mhm. Yeah, I
That's
feel
heavy,
like
man.
Or it's
can
both.
you can kind of, it's something Joe talks about a lot. Little sneak preview. There might be a T-shirt with the idea on it.
Thank you.
But like real recognize real.
Yeah.
So like you can
number one rule.
recognize almost when people are like genuine and like putting something out because it's theirs and like they like it and they love it,
Mm.
and when it's something that's like they're doing it because they have like a fan base that's like expecting a certain thing. Like there's DJs that I know that have like really like bad fan bases kind of, and it's like all the music that they make, like that's like unreleased, is like so cool, like when you go to their shows and stuff. But then when you like look at the album and listen to the album, it's like a bunch of stuff that's to appeal to this like big fan base that they have, rather than just releasing what they love, which ends up being like so much better because it's something that they
because
really
it's
like
sincere.
put themselves in.
It's
and
genuine.
sincere.
Like they're genuinely doing it for them.
Yeah.
Than it is now they're only just becoming like an entertainer. than
Like
it
they're
is
making
an
music for
actual
them.
artist.
They're making music for them and not for themselves. You're pretty much saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what? It's awesome that you bring that up because not to sound like I'm going against my own mantra of real recognized real, but because I've always lived by that, and I've always loved the expression artist for the artist. But I'm fascinated to hear what you guys think about the concept of just being a artist or a performer in any way or musician, because we all know that we love to make music or just create art in general because it makes us feel good.
Yeah.
But there's the other end of that, which is that we are also in a way performers. Even if you're a musician who
I was
doesn't
about
always
to say that. I'm like,
who
It's
like
entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Necessarily, you're not. Even if you're a musician who isn't always necessarily playing in front of people all the time, you maybe don't do a lot of live shows and stuff. You're still making a product for other people. You're like you said, an entertainer and a performer, and it makes other people feel good, and other people enjoy it, and that makes us feel even better.
yeah,
So, and I've know a lot of friends, and I've seen a lot of other musicians go through this like identity crisis. Well, because eventually the lines get blurred of, you know, who is the musician and is the art really for me, or is it for those people? Do I feel good because I'm making this, or do I feel
Yeah.
good because other people like what I'm making?
Yeah.
And like,
I think that's a struggle a lot of artists have had and still have.
yeah,
Because I think you want to live up to who you are in these lyrics and these songs, and people are already creating images in their head of who you are when you're singing those lyrics. But are you actually that person? You know, I think that was the struggle like Kurt Cobain had. You know, like there was always that expectation on him to live up to his own lyrics, but he was changing, he was progressing, doing things he wanted to do, and all his contract and his record label was expecting him to just make another Nevermind.
right.
And his reaction was In Utero, which was just recorded by Steve Albini, and he just duct taped fucking microphones to the ceiling
Yeah.
and had shitty recording gear, and that was his like reaction to it. And I think it's real. That's when you know an artist is being genuine, when he's just trying to go against what people are trying to tell him to do and just be who he is. But that's the struggle, and I think that's what attracts us, because Kurt Cobain is a huge archetype of
Yeah.
a musician that struggled and didn't have a happy ending. And
Yeah.
I think we all are so, why we love it is because we see ourselves in it, and but that curates this delusion and this like self-destructive attitude towards like, oh, I have to fuck myself up to become an artist. And it's like, no, you don't. And you know, and it's weird because like, it's not only just music, it's with art. Like people think like you have to be talking a certain way or thinking a certain way to be like a Basquiat or like a Picasso. And it's just like, no, you don't. You just be yourself and do what you want. And people are going to pick up on how genuine you are. And I think like I made a post recently too about that, is that like I always get so caught up in trying to be who I am, who I think I am at least, to other people, and try to go towards of just being my idea of myself. And then I'm just like, oh wait, I'm just being an asshole. And I think people, no matter what, people will like you for the reason why they always liked you, because of your kindness, your truthfulness, and how caring you are and how loving you are, and how compassionate you were or are still. And those qualities still live in you, but we just abandon them because we think it makes us either too soft, or we just don't think it's serving us anymore, because we go through some shit and we harden, we close. But like, people don't ever forget those times when you were nice and you were good to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like all my life is now just like working towards that, going back to that space, that mindset of just be a good person. Don't be a dick. You know, like simple as that.
Do you guys feel like that's something that's happening in the indie or local music scene now? Like, do you feel like the indie scene is, you know, pretty genuine, at least from artists you know or like or something like that? Or do you feel like there's a certain facade?
When it comes to like indie music, I feel like majority of the music that I hear is pretty genuine. But like when it comes to modern day pop / like rap music, I feel like there's just a lot of fakeness. There's just a lot of fakeness, and even if not fakeness, just negativity, or just like not inspiring the youth in the best way. And like that's where I feel like I step in with my music, because I want to offer like a good, catchy, fun flow, but like my lyrics aren't about violence or like anything like that, which is like, you know, you look at the top 10 trending songs, guarantee you at least more than half of them are going to talk about killing or some type of narcotic abuse or something like that, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I just feel like today's music, something needs to change, someone needs to step in and you know what I mean, show people that there's a different way, you know what I mean? Because what's popular right now is not what's cool or like what's at the end of the day right, you know what I mean?
That's fascinating, and I totally agree with you too. Because now that you're talking about like that whole, you know, those poor themes or messages of popular music, and George, what you said about Kurt Cobain, when we're drawn to that type of, you know, tragedy archetype, right? I feel like, and maybe I'm only thinking about this as a, you know, as a thespian or a theater person, like is it, do you think it just has to do with us as like a natural coding and as us as humanity? Like, are we just drawn to tragedy? Are we just fascinated with tragedy? Of
course. It's ingrained not only in theater, but like just in human life. Like, why is there a majority of people still watching fucking reality TV shows and keeping up with the Kardashians? Because we like drama, we like tragedy, we like things when things don't work out, but we also like it when people figure it out too, and they work through it.
I feel like it's a mix between people like starting to like consciously I guess you could say grow, and then you got the people that are still stepping back and like still in that, you know what I mean? Because I feel like throughout time there's bad and there's good, you know what I mean? Like I'm not even sure. I lost what I was saying, shit. But
oh, that's okay.
Nah, I like where he was going.
Yeah.
And with Buddha's concept of like the first noble truth is that life is suffering. So no matter what, we're always gonna have shitty music, but we're also gonna get good music, because the good music is gonna be a reaction to it.
Right.
That's the like duality.
Human
And
nature, like
everything
there's
in
bad
life,
and good in
you
like
know?
everywhere, you know what I mean? So it's just like you yourself, like make the choice.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Make your habits. Do what you do.
I find it weird that how humans are fascinated with tragedy, because I've come across people and some artists and musicians or whoever who have kind of like, I don't know if they necessarily meant it, but have thought about the idea of like, man, I wish I had like not I guess like a worse life, or like a more tragic backstory, because
That's normal though.
it would,
I
like,
used to think that all the
you know
all
what I
the
mean?
time. Like my life's so dull. Why doesn't anything bad happen to me? And
Yeah.
I'm like motherfucker.
like
come on.
they'll look up to a famous musician or someone who had a very hard life or tragic backstory and be like, I kind of wish my life was worse just so I can make better art.
Well,
I'm like, that's, I don't know, I that would always like toss me up, because I don't
never
know how to
really
feel
talk
about
about this a lot. I think about it, and that's a fucking great, like, finish what you were saying, but like,
no,
I
that's
love
it.
this.
I'm confused. That's all it was. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm just like,
You know what woke me up from that? And it's actually really corny, but Kendrick Lamar came out with this song with his album Section 80 called Poe Man Dreams. And there was this one line, and he was like basically talking about how he wanted to go to jail for killing a man, but he never did it. And he's like, I want to look at the judge's face while he sentences me. And that line stuck to me because, like, at the time in 6th grade, I wanted to become a rapper. And I thought the same thing. I was so attracted to the tragedy and the violence that I wanted to become it. And then when I heard that song, that whole line just hit me, because he basically described what I was trying to be like. And he like was looking at it as a third person view. And I you know, in 6th grade, I didn't know how to think philosophically or think about those things, but music was the only thing that was guiding me. So when I heard that, I was like, oh shit. And I think that was like the initiation to that type of thinking and being aware of like delusional thinking and getting caught up with identity, with trying to create a persona for people and show that maybe you're hard or you're this or that. But I think why we do that and why we want to do it, and this is just a theory, but I think we just do it because we're compensating. We're compensating for our own insecurities.
Wow, man.
So you've mentioned, I was going to talk about it later. It was actually the last point that I had, but you've mentioned it twice. And I want to hear you talk more. And I don't know if you might, I don't know, but Buddhism and spirituality, if we could go there for a little bit.
Yeah, shoot me.
So, like, I know, like, a little bit. I took a class in college on Buddhism, so I know a little bit of the mythology. And, like, I have a, I don't know, super broad,
Like top
poor understanding.
I'm not the
Do you
best,
wanna-
but
yeah.
I'll give you the best I can give.
I was going to say, do you want to just, like, for everyone listening who doesn't know anything about it, like, just the, like, main concepts and ideas behind it?
So we'll talk about the biggest misconception about Buddhism, the word Buddhism. So Buddhism was a word that was created after Buddha died, and it was his followers that created the ism. And I think a lot of people get unattracted by an ism or like an anity, some like where you're describing
Rightfully
a religion. And when you're making something sound dogmatic, I think a lot of people are who suffer from ancestry trauma or just any kind of trauma from experiencing what they went through in the church. Because in the church, a lot, not to knock on the church, but like there's what their idea of what a sinner is kind of alienates who you are as a person. And I think a lot of people become rebellious because of that, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Because then you get some great like art material. But at the same time, it's traumatizing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's extremely traumatizing. So when you say an ism, I think it's like I wish people refrain from that, but it's just like it's so indebted. I don't even know how to say it.
Embedded.
Embedded.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
What would you call it?
Embedded
If you
in
could call
our
it something
Western
else.
culture. What's up?
What would you call it if you could call it something else?
A Buddha philosophy. The Buddha philosophy.
philosophy.
Buddha
Yeah.
theory.
So, so do you want to go in a little on?
Ooh, all right. I don't want to make this only about it, but
Yeah, no. I mean, but
So essentially,
I think it's important
for
you know?
me, and this is my interpretation of Buddha philosophy or Buddha psychology, is in my own experience is for me it's just practicing essentially to be in the moment and learning to accept, let go, appreciate, and all those I think cycle within itself of what Buddha's taught. That's like the basic formula. Like if
But I
someone
feel
wanted
like
to say.
I feel like that's just something that's necessary for like people in general.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I really don't know too much about Buddhism, but I can say that those are things that I practice on a daily. You know what I mean?
Neither
So-
do I. Yeah. I mean nobody, and that wasn't the purpose of this philosophy.
Yeah.
I think people get so caught up in having an expectation on themselves of like, oh my God, like I am none of these things. I have a hard time letting go. Well, that's not what Buddha was trying to do. He wasn't trying to make you be aware of your flaws. He was just trying to help you be aware of who you think you are and
Yeah.
all these things and
Embrace
help
those
you.
flaws.
And not only embrace it, but
Yeah.
also just help you become aware of it, accept it, let go of things. And I think the biggest practice that he implemented was the Vipassana practice, and that was the earliest practice that is still practiced today. And it's just focusing on body sensation and respiration. And
What's it called again?
Vipassana.
Vipassana.
Well, actually, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, so I'm going to say Vipassana, and we'll leave it at
Vipassana.
that.
Okay.
But they have a center that's open. It's the first one that opened in the United States in Shelburne, Massachusetts, and you could practice 10 days of silent meditation, and it's one of the earliest practices that Buddha taught. And I don't think he created it. I think someone else created it, but he popularized it. So, and I mean, like this
Yeah.
I can go further, but like that's for another podcast.
Do you want to
know,
talk
I mean,
a little bit, like brief
What?
summary about the retreat that you did?
oh, the retreat. Okay, so the retreat is in Shelburne, Massachusetts. It's donation. You don't have to pay a certain fee. It's all donation. If you want to give them $5, give them $5. You know, and it's all vegan food, and they have cooks all from Boston, so the food is great. And you only get 2 meals a day. You wake up at 4 in the morning, and then you go to bed at 9. And when you wake up at 4, you're woken up by a gong. The first class is optional. You don't have to go. But at 6 o'clock, you are demanded to go. And there are 3 classes throughout the day that you have to be at. Other ones are optional. But when you're there, you have no other choice but to be there.
I feel like
and
I feel like at that point when you're there, everything is pretty much an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're going there for yourself.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like you got to go there to pass this and get this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it ain't like that.
Yeah,
It's all for
like
self
the idea
knowledge.
of having just like, oh, these are optional. Well, like you made the choice to be like you're there because you made the choice to be
You
there.
ain't
so
getting
you
a
might
piece
as
of
well
paper
wanna-
of completion at the end. You know what I mean? You're
Exactly.
doing
Yeah.
that's something you do for
If you're
yourself.
there to learn, you might as well like intake as much as you.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
where I got by like day 4. I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to be 100% because I was getting depressed. I was just staying in bed. But my roommate actually, his name is Boris. God bless his heart. I was staying in bed and he could tell I was getting depressed. And like there was a class going on and I just stayed in bed. And he came up and he had a cup of tea that he brought from the lunchroom. And you're not supposed to do that. But he like tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, look. And he couldn't say anything. So he just gestured with his hands and his face to the teacup. And I was just like taken back. I was just like, my jaw dropped. I was like, that is probably one of the most nicest things I've ever seen someone do to me. And I think like that showed me like if he can get through this and stay strong and go to practice, I can as well.
And be strong.
That's
enough
awesome,
to
man.
be
Because like that's just love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everyone's there to accomplish maybe not the same goal, but like a similar goal.
Mm.
You know what I mean? To either release or gain some type of knowledge. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think it's just gaining the wisdom to deal with every moment that's passing because, you know, I think like when it comes to delusion, it's the trickiest thing because we're always like getting attached to a feeling that we want, you know, the idea. And I was struggling with like just so many things at once when I was at the practice. But do you want me to, I don't want to talk about me. I mean, do you want me to just finish up describing the whole process of Vipassana?
Well, if you I mean whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
10 days.
I'm going to be enjoying
Yeah, I'm
it
sorry, y'all.
regardless.
I just don't.
Nah, let me hear that,
I
man.
hate
I wanna
making
hear
it
the rest
about
of
me, but
No, you're not. The
So-
hosts are making it about you. It's okay.
Yeah.
so we got 10
Yes.
days of silent meditation. You don't talk to each other at all, and 4 in the morning to 9, and 2 lunches a day. Not 2 lunches, 2 meals a day, and the last day is the only day that you could talk. It's called metta, and which means love and kindness, and you just talk about the practice. And that's essentially it. That's essentially the practice. But the first 3 days you focus on respiration. And then the next day 4 is like the hardest day. It's when, and you know what's funny? Day 4, like 3 people walked out. Like they didn't come back
Really?
because they introduced this Vipassana, the actual practice,
Wow.
and body sensation. And what happens is because people personalize with the sensations that they feel.
What do you mean?
So the practice is Vipassana, and I'm going to describe it the best I can. So like you scan your body scan meditation, some people call it. And you start from the head to your legs. And you start from your head and you don't, you know, like the best thing you could do when you're meditating is like, okay, subtle sensation, eyes, dry sensation, cheeks, hot sensation. And you're just being objective. You're like being a doctor to your own body. But then when you, some people's bodies are like, you know, fucked up from just like working out or like work or just, you know, injuries. And people personalize with certain pain that they feel, but it's not, you know, it's not you shouldn't personalize with what kind of pain you feel in your shoulder. But my biggest struggle, and I created a whole story for it, and that's what you're not supposed to do. But because we create stories for our own pain, and we believe in it, and that's what like gets you wanting to run away. And this is where it goes into. So like my biggest struggle was my legs. I always like right when I started skating my legs, I'm like, oh, I got a strained sensation. I was trying to like be nice to myself, like just a strained sensation, but all I wanted to say to myself is like, fuck. Like
It hurts.
Fuck, pain. And like my story for my legs was like the reason why I have such a struggle with my legs is because I want to run away. I want to run away.
Ah,
And I was like, oh, that's so gay and profound. And like, it was just amazing to see people stay when they leave the class, but they come back and you're just like, yes. It's like, if you could do it, I could do it, you know? And you get so happy that people stay. They come because they leave the room and you're like, oh man, they're leaving? Because you don't even talk to them, but you're like, and you're not even talking to them, but you just see them and you're supporting them because you're like, oh, this sucks. And I want you to get through this too, because like I'm actually receiving something from this too. And I've had, man, I could talk for hours about the amount of profound, like, just realizations I had with myself during that time when I was in Vipassana. So I think it's better than drugs, kids. I really do think so. I received so much more benefits from 10 days of silence than anything I've done. I mean, yes, I've had some amazing times and profound realizations on mushrooms and on acid, but I think like when I went to that 10-day retreat, I was like, well, you can attain the same kind of realizations from just practicing with your breath and your body sensations. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. That's an awesome experience and story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, where is this place at?
Yeah, dude, I gotta
Because I remember you were
It's like,
telling.
can I get this number?
Can I get the address?
Yeah. It's in Shelburne, Massachusetts.
Oh,
and
shit,
you can
okay.
sign up via online. You can go, it's just type in Vipassana
Are they
meditation,
doing it
and
now
they'll give
with-
you the location. They're definitely not doing it.
Yeah.
now.
I'm
Definitely
about
not.
to say that you're getting some free advertisement there.
Yeah, I suggest it to anybody. I mean,
I
it's
wanna
hard.
do it.
You're gonna want to walk out.
Yeah. I've
It
like been- I've
definitely
been
doesn't
thinking
sound
about
like
that
it's
for,
easy. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's
Yeah.
fucked up? A lot of guys walked out.
Yeah.
Only one girl walked out.
Really.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, is
Interesting.
it that girls can just endure more, like,
They could
not
definitely
endure
a lot
more pain, but just like they could just sit with it.
I feel like
Tolerance.
guys
Yeah.
I feel like guys psychologically are more like repressed than females.
That's a good statement.
I
Do you
don't-
think that because of culture?
Yeah, 100%. Because you're forced, like you're like be a man, you know, like
Yeah.
be manly, like
Yeah.
like no, don't be soft. And it's like, well,
Boys don't cry.
a real like to me, a real man is someone who can be open and like compassionate and
Face
like,
their
loving,
feelings.
caring, facing their fears, stuff like that.
And that's where emo music comes
Right. No, they're,
Yeah.
they're pussies. Emo
Damn.
music's for pussies. You heard it here.
No, because I'll tell you what, man. Because
Totally
there was a long time where I feel like I would run away or hide from like my own emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So-
did that for the first like probably 18 years of my life, and then the next like 3 was like still doing it, but like realizing it
At
kind
least
of.
acknowledging it at
And
the very least.
and now it's like I just deal with my own, like I just deal with my shit and like be and do what I want to do. You know?
I can agree, man. I feel like when
Oh,
I was
that's all-
around like
I can open up a fucking rabbit hole with that one.
Go for
when I
it.
Talk. Nah.
No?
I wanted to ask
After.
I wanted to ask both of you about because talking about being in the moment. I feel like a lot of young musicians nowadays, when they strive to be something great or be a great musician, they get so hung up on the technicality of music, like whether it be music theory and stuff like that, and a lot of them forget to be in the moment when it comes to music, and a lot of them neglect the aspect of just freestyle jamming with a band or freestyle rapping, for example. Is like something that's like you gotta be in the
I'll
moment.
tell you what, because there's definitely been times where I'm like, because with music, it's also at the same time it's work. You know what I mean? Because especially when you record yourself and you mix and master yourself.
Yeah.
So
It's a craft.
sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming when, you know, you got all these songs and then you're like, oh, okay, I need to mix this. I need to get this sounding right, get this sounding right. And it's like, hold on, like, why am I thinking it like that? Like, I need to get this done. No, I don't need to get it done. Let me enjoy myself, sit down, mix it, slow down, take a minute, because, you know what I mean? There's just times where I saw myself in like a workaholic phase where I'm just trying to finish it and get it done and make it sound right, where it's just like, take a step back, just chill, like it's all right, like you know what I mean, you don't need to get this done by tomorrow, just chill, like it'll sound right, you know what I mean, have fun with it. So
I saw your library and it made me think of that. I think you posted it on your Instagram story or something of like all the songs that you have,
bro.
Like there was like how many?
So many,
like
bro.
Hundreds and
so
hundreds
many
and
songs,
hundreds.
bro.
Like
so many songs,
like almost like probably like about 20 per like letter
of
the alphabet.
I would say like a good like 60% of that is not gonna go out, because a lot of those tracks are instrumental, or like some tracks are just for myself, you know what I mean? But like there's, you know what I mean, like the other side of it, it's like, okay, let me organize this and then this is gonna go out, you know what I mean? So you gotta be experimental. There's gonna be songs that you make and you might not want to put out, you know what I mean? There's some stuff in there that wasn't even 100% done, you know what I mean, just needed this and that. But you know, you gotta be experimental, you gotta try things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, step out the box.
Of sound experiments.
Yeah, man.
That's why I call them.
From genre to genre, from rap to, you know,
Punk.
got some bass lines in there, guitar riffs.
Yeah, that's what they always say.
Jams
Like
with the band.
never throw anything out, or never throw anything away or delete anything, because you can have a song that's like total shit and garbage, but then like 2 years later, you're trying to make a song and you're just like scrolling back through your old shit and you're like, oh, you know what, that guitar riff I did there was like not that bad.
Or
I can like rework it into
I was about to
better.
say, or you can use your own work and inspire yourself to make something new, which actually, like, you know, I do that sometimes. There's some old songs that I have and I'm like, I'm not gonna put that song out, but like that verse went fucking hard, so I'm gonna take that verse and put it in a new song, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I like doing that with poetry a lot. Like I'll write something in the heat of the moment and then like come back to it with like a different perspective and like in hindsight, like what I like think of it then, or like
from the observer point of view.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
My grandma, actually, it's funny that you mentioned it, because my grandma texted me 2 days ago. I might have talked about this on the other podcast, I forget though, but she was like, she said I've been like sending her like some of my poems and whatever, and so she said to me, never throw anything out. Like she's like, I forget exactly what she said, something along the lines of like, I'm worried for when I pass away, because you guys are gonna need like a U-Haul for all of my notes and stuff of like poems that I had. And I was like, I would want all of those. Like, I forget what else I was about to say. What was the question that you asked, Joe? Because you asked them a question and I wanted to chime in on it.
Being in the moment with music.
Yeah, I've actually been experiencing that with the podcast a lot too recently, because it's like I've been like really hammering in like the editing and like getting stuff done, and today like I started it again and it was like, whoa, I'm like doing a lot. Like let's like slow down for a minute and like just enjoy like doing this little thing, and then like going to do something else, and then coming back and just like enjoy it rather than like get it done.
Yeah, man, because like when you're in that get it done phase, you're not thinking like 110% clear, so you know your craft might not sound or come out as great as it could have been if you just took it from the observer point of view, you know what I mean, from the outside point of view, take a step back, you know what I'm saying? That goes right back to like what I was saying, what you were saying. But
yeah, imagine like you're trying to do that, but like every time we go off topic, you're like, nah, that's off topic, we gotta be on topic. And I think we do that a lot with our own art. It's like, oh my god, we're not doing what we're supposed to, we gotta finish this, we gotta and it's like, I think like, yes, you know, it goes back to what I was saying, like how you gotta be 100%, but it's also let go and relax. Like, okay, let your mind do what it wants to do. Stop thinking about the like end result of something. Like,
Exactly,
it's gonna
yeah,
take
yeah.
time. But what you're doing right now is important. So just be 100% what you're doing in that moment. And am I doing that all the time? No,
Yeah.
because I'm human.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that let go mentality sometimes can trail off in like a negative way, where if like let go and just do what you want to do with your
Oh,
art?
that could easily.
Then like
turn
you
into
know
that.
you'll be the type of person who starts like 25 projects but doesn't finish any of them, or like you start
I
writing,
am
like,
guilty
20
of like
I'm
kind of
guilty of
doing
that
that
all
because
the time.
I'll
Yeah.
record a song and then like kind of put a mix on it, but then I'm like, all right, you know, like all of a sudden I'll just get like I guess like a jump or like a charge, and I'm just like, oh snap, I want to make something right now. So now I'll make another song, and next thing I know, I got like 3-4 songs, but none of them are mastered yet. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I got to do something here.
And
Like
it's challenging because you always want to have like a bit of sit time, because like after, I know with all my bands and stuff, we would write a song and then we'd track it and do all that stuff, and then we'd be like, all right, let's sit on this for like a week or something like that, so we can come back with fresh ears and really like
Yeah,
make
yeah.
edits. But
That's
in
smart.
in that week we get like 6 other ideas,
Exactly.
and then like so much stuff goes to the graveyard and you never like go back to it, and it's crazy.
And it's crazy like the amount of songs that I've like made and I forgot about. I'm like, I don't even remember recording this one. I'm just like, holy shit, man.
And that's how you know Darius is grinding, dude. He's got too much material. It's crazy.
I just wanted to read something that I wrote last night a little bit because it reminded me of what we were just talking about.
Let me hear.
It's kind of like something I like thought in my head and then wrote down as like a reminder to myself. Just pencil and paper, write ideas as they come to my head, and if nothing comes, then that's okay. I sit and enjoy the peace and quiet, but when a thought comes, it's go time.
I like that, man. Because
I can just
you're not
imagine
forcing
like
it, you know what I mean?
like wait, what would you say?
I said like you're not forcing it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like you're
'Cause,
at
like,
ease.
I was writing a poem last night, and then it was like, it got to the point where like I'd like written what I felt, and like there wasn't really more yet because like I hadn't felt any more yet, and I was like trying to write it, and I'm like, like why can't I write the rest of this poem? And then I'm like, just sit and like think for a little bit and relax, and it'll come. And then like 5 minutes later, just, boom, poem's done. You know, it's just like not doing things to complete them, but doing them to do
To
them.
do them, yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I agree, man. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel
like
like
that,
I don't really talk about this in a group setting a lot.
Yeah.
Talking about that type of thing. I just have to think about it by myself and practice it
Yeah.
and be aware of it when I'm like meditating or like I read something. I'm like, oh wow, that was well said. It's better than I've been thinking about this for a long
Yeah.
time and someone said it for me.
Yeah.
But like talking about it in a group discussion is very rare.
I think
like
it's really
talking about the
important.
creative process, especially.
I think it's really important.
Yeah.
You know, because I just lost my train of thought.
You're good.
You get lost.
I think-
something like that.
Something I've been thinking about too that I've been struggling with is like I'm learning piano, and every time I get lost in that idea of like, well, where I can go anywhere with this, and that's scary because it's like, well, what should I do with it?
Right.
And I think like that, and it goes back to this whole discussion of like, what do you do with your skills that, and knowing what that you're capable of doing, and what do you want to spend your time doing the most?
Freedom is scary.
Yeah, it is a scary thing, and I think that goes back to what Sartre said: is like man is condemned to be free, and that's a scary take on freedom because
Man is
like
condemned to be free.
yeah, that
That's
was his way
fucking
of thinking of it.
Yeah, because
And I think that's a
dense. Holy shit.
yeah, it's
it's
very
almost like freedom is almost like a bad thing for, I would say, maybe even most people. You know, like,
it is.
especially people who like, if you're not successful, not that I'm saying like I'm successful, like in my mind I am succeeding in what I'm doing, I guess I could say. But like when I like wasn't succeeding in anything that I was doing, and I just felt like I was always like losing, like my freedom meant laying in bed and watching TV. You know, like that's what freedom was for me. And so it was like such a bad thing. But then like when I had work, or when I was doing good in school, when I had school and like I had something to do, and like I didn't have freedom, I was working better because I was doing more of like what I should be doing rather than what I want to be doing, and that's like a really, really important thing with
Yes.
I hear that, man.
Yes.
I definitely agree.
Yes, it's like a German Shepherd. So like if a German Shepherd is not being told what to do or being trained,
I'm so happy.
it gets like it just starts wilding out and like just and reacting in weird ways, and people are like, what's wrong with your German Shepherd? And sometimes the owner just doesn't get it because it has too much freedom. It likes being told what to do, and as much as we don't like government, fuck the government, it's like I like Henry David Thoreau's philosophy. It's like I'm not against government, I'm just for a better government. And I like that. I like that.
I like that.
I read Civil Disobedience after we got off
good.
the phone.
So good.
Loved it.
Beautiful.
Incredible. Absolutely beautiful.
I like how you brought up, you said you were learning piano. I noticed you're multi-instrumentalist. You play piano, you're guitarist and a drummer and a bassist, right?
I'm gonna leave guitars out.
Okay.
I play guitar, but I'm not gonna say guitarist. Far
fair
from
enough.
it.
But the idea of like
I'm giving him the eyes right now because that's what I would say comparing myself to you.
Yeah.
That's something. Sorry to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
But that's something that I've been caught up in a lot recently. I mean, we're on the topic of learning instruments, and like the past few days, I've been really grinding really hard. Like, because prior I was like, I wanted to be a good musician, or like I wanted like people to like think I'm cool because I could play like cool bass lines and shit.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm doing it because I want to.
And that's the best way you can do it. You know
I
what
keep
mean?
getting caught in like, fuck, dude, my train of thought just keeps like evading me. I should stop talking. What did you say?
No, I was going back to the idea of like you need some kind of direction, or like, you know, the lack of freedom in some respect being important, and how on earth, like I've been a bassist for about 8 years, but I still need to practice it to obviously not be rusty. But on top of that, I'm trying to learn drums or get better at drums, and I'm trying to learn piano, and that's just 3 instruments, and I'm failing at it at juggling all of it. So how do you find not only just time in your life or week to practice all those instruments, but the motivation to do that?
Oh man, I think
I wanted to throw in.
Yeah,
like,
you got it.
Along with that, how much time do you average
to it?
like spend on each instrument? You know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like
too.
each day.
A timer. That's the secret. A timer.
Is it that easy?
But you gotta be disciplined with that time. So think of it as this: I do it, and I've been doing it, and no one has told me to do it. I've done it because I'm just like because I struggle with the same thing. I want to do all these things. I love trying new things. And as much as I thought I didn't, you know, because I thought I was a lazy person for a while, but now I'm just like exploding. And I think the biggest thing that helped me is when I was practicing drums a lot, I would time myself for the certain things I would practice. Okay, I'm going to practice my syncopation for 30 minutes. And with this 30 minutes, I'm going to dedicate my time to reading syncopation, playing syncopation, and understanding syncopation the best I can. And when you do that, you're going to be like, that 30 minutes went by fast, or that 30 minutes is not done, because maybe you're that type of person that will be like, am I done yet? You know, like, is it up? And you'll check, it's like, oh fuck, I got 15 minutes left of syncopation. Fuck. I mean, like, you have your days. But I think like no matter what, when you involve that voluntary discipline into your practice, because like, okay, you say, oh, I only have 2 hours. Well, with that 2 hours, you can do a lot. 30 minutes with the drums, 30 minutes with the piano, 30 minutes with the bass, 30 minutes with the guitar. There you go. And as you do it more, because like as you practice, you get better. But even what you do with your time, you get better by practicing that. So,
right.
And am I good at it? No. But like, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Being more disciplined with my approach and being more direct with what I want from my time. Because now, like, I have a quarter life crisis. It's like, I'm 22 and I'm not as good as I want to be, but I know how to get better. And it's like, you know what? this anxiety is kind of feeding this fear, and it could I could just go into fear and then just into.
But sometimes fear is what moves a man. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's just sometimes it's like you need that fucking push.
Yeah, I agree.
You guys, I honestly, I feel like I'm talking too
Yeah,
much.
George, shut the fuck
what's
up.
your take on
Jeez.
that with
Call me
like,
Jordan.
I said George.
Oh, I thought you called him Jordan.
Karate chop too. The mic.
Wait, what?
Like, make sure you're karate
Oh
chop.
shit! Can you hear me like good?
So you rap, you play bass, you
Yes.
produce, engineer.
I don't make beats.
You
I don't
know?
make beats. No,
Okay.
I mean I've made a couple beats, but my beats I feel like right now aren't up to par to my skill of, I guess you could say, rapping.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I definitely want to do. Like, why not? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's like even when I played in a band, you know, a couple months prior, I didn't know I was gonna play in a band. I didn't play the bass. I didn't play any instruments. I started playing the bass when we started the band.
Really?
Really?
But that's
How long have
just-
you been a bassist?
Like 2.5 years now. Because
Really?
at first I started a band, me and my homie Kyle, and then we had a band with our buddy Connor and this kid Kevin. That was Righteous Rebellion. Then we started another band.
Manic, right?
Yes, Manic. Manic was after that. After the singer Kevin left, but in that band I was rotating from some songs Kevin would play the bass and I would just go up on the mic and then we'd switch. But I just hit the fuck it button, man. Like, we were just talking about it, bullshitting. Me and Kyle have a song called No Time, and it's fucking great. Like, we recorded it like back in like maybe like 2017. It was the first track I ever recorded instruments on, and honestly, it sounds like good. Like, it doesn't sound like shit. So, but long story short, we were just singing that song, performing it or whatever, and then the band came about. Hit the fuck it button, and then it was just a great experience. Like, I'm just glad I did it. Like, I never knew that I would play an instrument, you know. So but at the same time, doing that opened my eyes. Like, if I could do this, like, you know what I mean. Like, I just hopped up on the bass, you know what I mean. Like, I never been up on stage, and you know what I mean. Now I'm talking to, you know, a whole crowd and stuff. Like, it just it's like empowering. It feels good. It's like, if I could do this, like, what else can I do? You know what I mean? Because like I said, I just hit the fuck it button and just said, fuck it, let's do it. You know what I mean? But that's something I wanted to do because, like, music is just something I always have a passion for, whether it's rap music or, you know what I'm saying, if we're playing reggae, it don't matter. Like, I just love music. You know what I mean? Like, my heart's in it. It's passion. So at the end of the day, I'll always be making music. But the goal is to, you know what I mean, start getting a check from it. That's the goal.
I love that fuck it button idea.
The fuck it button.
I hit
Sometimes
the
you
fuck-
just gotta hit the fuck it
I hit
button
the
and say
fuck
fuck
it.
it. Let's do it.
I hit the fuck it button last night. I got on piano a little bit.
Oh,
It was-
yeah, you and I were jamming.
Yeah,
With,
I was
Johnny.
I was jamming. Johnny Smith was on the drums, and I was just like playing a little tiny like shitty chord progression, and like it just felt so good to just like let loose and be like, I don't care what anyone fucking thinks. I'm
It's
playing
empowering,
this
man.
thing with
It's
Johnny
empowering.
Smith, and it's amazing.
Yeah, we were with
Yeah,
Johnny and
like-
Armin, yeah?
Armin was like standing over me, like directing me a little bit.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Armin G. Also shout outs to Manic NJ. Is it?
Manic NJ on
Manic
Instagram,
NJ
yes,
on
sir.
Instagram.
Yeah, shout out
Right
to
on.
Manic.
Um,
Shout out to Johnny.
yeah, shout out
Johnny
to
Smith. Shout out to
Shout
Johnny
out to
Smith. 'cause
Eric.
Johnny
he's
Smith.
he's putting a lot of music out, man.
Yeah.
Shout out Johnny Smith. I see him on the grind, man. That's passion and that's heart. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
anytime I see whether it's anything creative, like, you know what I mean, musician, whether you do art, whatever it is, like, I see someone with you know what I mean, putting passion into something with their heart, I'm gonna support it. That's like you
Yeah.
starting this podcast, and I seen you on Instagram, and like, at the end of the day, you're just trying to help people out, and like,
Yeah.
I respect the fuck out of that. Like, thank you for that, because
Dude.
that's just awesome. Because
Yeah, thank you for
you
having
know what I
me.
mean? Like,
Thank you,
like
Joe.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
thanks
But
for
like,
being
I
here.
see the passion and I see the heart. You know what I mean? I see the drive. So like, anytime I see that, I just support it. You know what I mean?
That's what
That's
I,
just
that's
it,
like
man.
what I'm trying to do. You know, it's
I
like
love
the same
it, man.
exact thing.
I love it. Because at
Um,
the end of the day, it's just all love. You know what I mean?
fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just
That's why-
everyone's doing what they love, and I love what you love. So let's just spread this love. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just,
Yes.
let's just
like
love
a
each other,
fucking
man.
disease.
Yeah,
Yes.
Johnny's crazy. I remember we got up there and we were jamming, and he was like, and
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
you were jamming for a minute too with us, weren't you? While I was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was right behind you. I
forgot
was
you were
playing
playing
bass. and I was talking to Johnny. I didn't know you played drums, Johnny. You know, and he was like, "Nah, I'm like terrible." And I was like, dude.
I was like,
And
okay.
I never heard
He's
him play
been
drums
playing since
before.
He was like 13.
I never heard him play drums before. And then he got behind a kid. He
Or
starts
7.
beaming out these fucking psycho jazz rudiments like it was nothing. And I was
Yeah.
like, "What are you talking about? I can't keep up with you." It was nuts.
You know what, man? He's one humble dude.
Oh yeah,
It's just-
Definitely
he's
humble.
a humble guy, man.
he's a fucking mastermind. Wait, so the one thing you didn't mention, how long have you been rapping for?
Oh yeah.
I started first time like I put out a song. I was like, I don't know if I was 15 or 16. I might have been. No, I was 15. Yeah, I was 15. Um, started like in the family. My cousin, he was doing music, so I just always supported him doing it. And then one day he was like, you know, you can come make a song, this and that. And I was always with it. Ever since I was younger, I always wanted to hop on a track and do something. But then that happened, man. And then like ever since, I just used to watch. You know what I'm saying? They would record me. And then eventually, I just got my own shit. And it was just as simple as I would record myself. You know what I mean? I'll press the red button, it would record, and then boom, I'm done. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay, so this is how you put the reverb on, and this is okay, and oh, this is the EQ. This is how you bring up the high end frequency. This is what you do with the lows. Okay, and then but I'm self-taught. Like no one really like sat down and was like, this is how you mix, this is how you master. It's just all self-taught, and it's all self-taught because I just stay consistent with it. You know what I mean? I stay consistent, and it's just something that I just love to do. Like it's fun as fuck to me. So
That's rad, man.
I just stayed with it, man.
What about some like rap influences? I listened to a bit of I think your last song you put out, and you put like a snippet on your Instagram.
Oh yeah, Illbrain.
Yeah. You kind of, to me personally, you kind of sound a bit like 21 Savage a little bit.
Oh really?
Yeah, like
It's funny. Like I don't know. I hear
Really?
like a whole bunch of different artists. People would say like, oh, you kind of remind me of this, you kind of remind me of that. But I feel like it's because my sound range is so.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It goes from here to here to here. So like I don't really. I wouldn't say like. I would just say my sound is all around, man. So
Yeah.
like I guess some songs like I might sound a little bit like this to this person, but like I mean if that's how it is, you know, that's how you take it. That's how you take it. But like
do you personally have like artists or bands that
I'm not
directly
Good at text. I'm looking for a quote.
do you that directly influence
Get
you
off
or
your phone.
inspirations to you?
I would say my biggest inspiration of all time is gonna be Bob Marley, and that's just because he made music and for a greater cause, a good purpose, and he spread awareness, like love. You know what I mean? And like that's just great, cause like that's just, you know what I mean. Coming from a, you know what I mean, when you get to a certain point as a musician, you can't even like beat around the bush. Like that's a point of power. Like you have power. You have the power to influence people, and to take that power and to make it a positive thing. Like that's nuts to me. You know what I mean? Like that's just the dream. That's the goal. Like I want to make a difference. You know what I mean? I want to show kids and show these people like, you know what I mean? You don't got to be rapping about guns or this and that to be the best rapper. You know what I'm saying? Be the best you, and that's how you could be the best artist. And like that's like one of my biggest messages. Like my first song that I put out on my thing.
Darius is reading a quote
Sometimes
that George is showing him.
just sound like yourself. That's deep.
Yeah,
What is that?
You
it's a
wanna read?
Miles Davis quote. So like,
Oh, I love Miles
I
Davis.
think like with that whole thing, like people are always gonna pinpoint something.
Can you read
Like,
the quote
you
out?
sound like that. You sound like this. Everyone goes for that. But I think like with Miles Davis, like I love this quote because it's so great. It applies to everybody. Man, sometimes it takes you a long time to sound like yourself, and it's so great.
Wow.
You know, and it does. But it all depends on what your interpretation of what a long time means to you.
Of what?
If you think it's gonna take 5 years, it's gonna take 5 years.
Oh, a long.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
So
wild.
like, if you
man.
think it's gonna take 5 months and that's a long time to you, okay. You know, like everything depends on what you want. I mean, like it goes back to the beginning of the conversation, like what Darius said, like what you want, like what you do reflects of how much you want it. You know.
And Darius, your perspective on music is incredible. It's you're on your way to your goal because you're already inspiring me.
Yeah,
to
I
do
appreciate
this.
that,
very
man.
inspirational.
But like I was saying, like cause long story short, just this past year I had just started putting out music again. Like I just restarted. I was doing music with some people, and ties were cut, so it's just done. I didn't, you know what I mean? They could do them, I could do me. So I just restarted it and just re-platformed myself. So it's crazy because last year today, I didn't even have a laptop yet. Like I couldn't record myself. I didn't have a computer. Like everything was just a thought. But it's just like a year later, and it's just crazy because I established all my platforms. Like I have a few songs on every platform, and you know, I have two music videos and two music videos and two visualizers out, and it's just crazy because last year it was nothing. Like it was literally all just a thought. So this is just something I would think about every day. Like, man, get up, go to work, motivated. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I hate this fucking job right now, but you know what? Like, I'm gonna get that computer. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna get my music, and it feels good because, like I said, what I'm doing now is a manifestation of last year. So it's almost like I inspired myself because it's like if I could do this in a year, like now I'm established. Like, where am I gonna be at next year? You know what I mean? But I'm still enjoying every day and every step of the way. But that's something that I gotta, I guess, remind myself. But also, that's just like to keep myself in check. You know what I mean? Just to like be humble. Like, yeah, I'm not at this point yet, but you know what I mean? I'm way farther than where I was a couple months ago. You gotta always focus on the growth, especially for a musician. Like, you gotta focus on the growth. Like, if you focus on the numbers and everybody else, what everybody else is doing, you're gonna be disappointed and you're gonna walk away sad every fucking time. Like, just think about how far you've came. You know what I mean? And,
Damn,
and
yeah.
personally, like, I feel good because I am not nowhere near where I was last year. Last year, this shit didn't even exist. You know what I mean? Like my music didn't, the new generation of me, like, did not exist. So it just feels good, man.
It's wild, dude. Yeah.
I could definitely relate to that. As like a month ago, like none
Exactly,
of
man.
this was the thing.
Yeah,
I
that's
relate to that
awesome.
too. When I got like the MacBook and everything, I was like, "Fuck, I'm biting the bullet," because I came back from like a really dumb experience with a girl, and it just didn't work out. And I had like $700 left, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna do what I want." And I just spent all my money on like recording equipment.
Hell yeah.
It's-
Sometimes you gotta hit the fuck it button, yo.
Yeah.
Dude,
Hit the fuck
you
button.
gotta hit the fuck it
Yeah.
button. The fuck it button has gotten us all sitting in this room talking together. So
Yeah.
I
Look
think
at that.
Literally,
I
man.
think it's
That
I think it
ass.
works. I think the fuck it button works.
I quoted you on that, Dero, so I wrote that down. I love
The
that.
fuck
I'm
button,
gonna
man.
start.
I like-
I'm
Yeah.
gonna start using that. That's great.
Same here, yo.
Maybe
That
we,
was awesome.
maybe we could do a shirt collab there.
Yo.
Ooh, the
Just
fuck it
someone
button.
pressing the-
Button.
Yeah,
pressing
dude.
the button.
pushing the button.
You know that meme where it's like the hand is slapping on the button?
Yeah.
Just
Shout outs to any creators out there. Make us a little
fuck it.
like a little cartoon of Darius hitting the fuck it button.
Oh, like if someone make like a little like 10-second like animation
like 2
gif.
or 3 second of just
Yeah.
like him and then going.
Fuck it.
There's your sound too.
Yeah.
That's
Boop.
that's
You heard it
him
here. You heard it live. You heard it first.
right there. The fuck it button. All right. So I want to talk about poetry and I want to talk about writing in general. What I mean, I feel like we have a little bit of an idea, but what are your like processes? I don't know, Darius, you want to start? Because we keep talking to George and he doesn't shut
well,
up.
When it comes to like writing
up.
on an instrument,
Fuck
or
you.
like when it comes to writing over a beat, most of the songs that I record, I honestly don't write anything down. It's kind of just,
Really?
I'm not gonna say I freestyle a
That's
whole song and
impressive.
I'm like, yeah, you know, but it's like in freestyle takes, you know what I mean, or like rough tracks. So like I'll kind of just like half it and just keep on going, and then I'll really just project it. You know what I mean? Like I'll get the idea down, and then I'll go and really do it, or I'll just get it off the rip and it just works out. I don't know. Like every process is a little different because it's a different energy on like every song. Like I'm not coming from the exact same spot on every song.
Yeah. I respect that a lot because it's not something that I like have. I hate saying like I don't like saying I can't do that, you know, like I haven't tried to or haven't gotten into it yet, and it's like something that's hard to get into, you know, like just like spitting bars off the dome like that, you know, like I have to like sit and like hear the beat a bunch and then like write and then hear it and then write and then go, oh, I don't like any of that, let me rewrite all of it, and then it's like over and over
But
and over
see,
again.
that's the
you're
thing.
you're doing that in a way though, kind of, right? Like
In a way, but see, that's the thing. Sometimes when I want to sit there and write, like when I like, you know what I'm saying, like have like a pen and paper and write, I'm very much an overthinker sometimes. Like I just overthink the fuck out of shit. So sometimes the least I think, like the better it'll come out. You know what I mean? But like not like the least I think, like it's still more like I'm still like in depth with myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm grounded, like I'm here, but
In the
like I'm
moment.
just not thinking exactly how I want to articulate this and that, but it's still gonna come out how I want to express it, if that
Right.
makes sense.
No, I understand what you're
definitely
saying.
makes sense.
Because I am like you a lot, Jack, too. But unlike you, I can say that I can't do that because I've tried. I've collabed with like bands or like been a part of a band, and they'll be like, they have all the recording gear set up and be like, oh, we wrote this, like just make a bass line to it. And the first time I'm hearing to it, and I'll just like choke, and then I'll like jump out a window and freak out. I can't. Like,
You haven't tried hard enough.
I probably.
What do you would you agree with that statement?
I think it's like when you're in pressure, like there's a moment I love it. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I like being under pressure, weirdly enough, because I play better, weirdly enough. I don't know, for me, that's me. But writing a song, I'm more very meticulous because like what you say is, it's a statement. And I'm just like, if someone was like, hey, I made this whole track and all you have to do is sing on it. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
thank you. Unless you want to hear like me just talk about my personal feelings, because that's the only thing. Like I feel like when it comes to writing songs, I have a hard time because every time I write a song, it's always something personal, like something I went through or I'm going through, and it's always minor chords.
Yeah.
But that's not
it's
a
sad
bad
as
thing though.
fuck.
That's not a bad thing though. It's just you doing you. That's your style.
I don't. Like
You are
this.
asking.
I'm waiting for that phone to fall on your
Oh,
head.
yeah, so am I, dude. I've been looking at that since the
I've been waiting
started.
for it. It's balancing now. It's good.
That's something that
It's
I've
only
like
fun.
wanted to learn to do because I struggle with the same thing, is like writing from different perspectives, like putting yourself in someone else's shoes and like writing something that's not like
That's
true
impressive.
to you,
It's so
but that
impressive.
would be true to someone else.
Yeah.
I can't, like, I haven't been able to capture that really, and I haven't like done it, but it's something that like I want to start doing, like want to get good at. You talked about doing that a little bit with your the New York story. How you like
York
to
story.
or in parks, like listen
Oh
to people's
yeah.
conversations
You know, I was
kind of,
just
and,
I was
like,
just about to bring that up.
write
Yeah,
it down.
it's tricky. It's a fun practice. You guys, I'll give a quick explanation.
We've talked about it before. I don't want to be
Yeah, a
like,
quick explanation.
redundant.
Days when I'm bored, I'll take a pen and a notebook, and I'll go to a park.
Joe's not a stalker. Just to put
Yes,
that
it's
out
not
there.
weird, but
It's
I'll
not weird. I promise.
I'll eavesdrop on people's conversations, and just like write down things that I find interesting or fascinating about like a conversation between two people, because it's interesting to get that perspective. However, that's just kind of like a insight practice, or like a motivation, or like an influence, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, kind of practice. It's weird. I feel like that's interesting that you want to do that, Jack, but I don't know how that's going to go, because trying to write something like a song or anything like that from someone else's perspective.
I mean, it's a story. It's fiction. You know.
Yeah.
Or
it's
a
like
story.
writing
Yeah,
fiction.
that's also true.
Think
But
about that. Like.
but then again, like, I don't know. I'm not doubting you. I'm just, I guess, playing devil's advocate for the sake
no,
of it.
I mean, I understand. I'm not saying it's gonna be easier, that I'm gonna be good at it. You know.
Well-
like it's like writing fiction, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
'Cause remember, real
Bob
recognize real,
Dylan,
dude.
Bruce Springsteen,
Yeah.
you know, they've always done characters. They created characters. Like, I mean, one of the characters, most famous characters Bob Dylan created was either the story in, sorry, brain fart,
If you need like
All
a
Along
second,
the Watchtower.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay.
the Joker and the Clown. You know,
Right.
that's one of his famous characters.
yeah. Right.
And he uses like interesting names for the characters. They're not actual jokers, but he just calls them the Joker and the Clown. And then they have double entendres, you know, and that becomes interesting as well, because like you can't really tell a whole story. I mean, like you can, but then you would just be having an instrumental and just telling the story. But like when you have to sing a song in your 4/4 C G F chord progression, you're kind of limited to the kind of words that you use. But that's what makes it interesting, because the story is mysterious and vague, but
Right.
like it's telling you something.
But as a writer, you mentioned we probably know like when, or at least can relate to the idea, like if you're a writer and you're writing a fictional character, you know, the actual, you know, truthfulness or the thing that makes a character come to life is how a writer puts a little pieces and like at the core level of that character, you know, the writer lives within that character. Even if you have like a story that has like 4 different characters in it, you know, that's 4 different like opinions that the writer might have, or some, or whatever it might be, but the writer will live in every
Inside that
single
character.
every single character of the same
Yes.
story. When it comes to writing something from another person's perspective, I feel like it could get tricky, because when you don't have, maybe you as the writer don't have that same experience, or you can't necessarily nail down the perspective or opinions of someone else entirely. Not saying that it would be bad, it'd definitely be interesting, but there's
I got
the authenticity of it might be lost in translation, I feel.
When
I got an example.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I think I might too. I don't know. When you do that though, you almost create something different.
You
Well, yeah, of
mythologize.
course.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it creates like a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Go with your
Tom
example.
Waits.
Sorry.
Tom Waits.
Okay, Nighthawks at the Diner. One of
I'm
his,
not
I think it's his second album. And he basically did what you did, eavesdrop.
Really?
And he became the character for all the people he eavesdropped. And basically combined everybody's conversations of what they would talk about at the pool halls or the bars, and become like this sort of barfly character. And people were like, oh, Tom Waits is he's just a drunk, and he sings on the piano. But that's what people want. He wants people to see him as that. But is it him? No, that's just the mythological character of Tom Waits.
Wow. Fuck
So,
me. That sounds
It's
awesome.
really cool. And that's why I love and he's a great writer. And to go after that's done, I have another example of telling a story with someone kind of involving their perspective within this person of the story that they're telling about. So we're all familiar with Frank Ocean, I hope,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
song
yeah.
Crack Rock.
I don't know that one.
You don't know how little you matter until you're all alone in the middle of Arkansas with a little rock left in that glass stick. Used to date a blonde. You used to hit it raw, 'cause she was, and you're madly involved. Hitting stones in glass homes. You're smoking stones in abandoned homes. You hit them stones and broke your home. Crack rock. You're smoking stones in abandoned homes. You're hitting stones and broke your home. And he's just telling his story, and I think Frank Ocean's underrated for his double entendres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
What about
with
know
the little
Chanel?
rock left in that glass stick?
Yeah, yeah.
You know the song Chanel?
Chanel, yeah,
See on both sides like Chanel.
Yeah,
Like, you know what it
because
refers to, right?
the logo, right? But
Well,
then, like,
it's 3. It's the logo. It's something about like the person or whatever during the war, because they were like in between like East and West Germany or something.
Yeah.
So it's that as well, and it's also like bisexuality.
wow.
Yeah. It's one of my
Frank
favorite
Ocean
songs.
is-
It's one of my favorite songs of all time. Like if you
I
look
love
at my
that song.
if
He
you look
performed
at
it
my-
live when I saw him live.
Wow. If
Yeah,
you look at my
it's
like
nuts.
plays on Apple Music, like it's like top 3 and there's like 140 plays or something. Like I just
I
love that
fucking
song so much.
Love Frank Ocean.
What a list.
I've been
So
obsessed with Lens, and that has it's a plethora of
Yeah.
you
I
know,
need
double
to
entendres.
listen to him more. I haven't like
He's
really
amazing.
sat and like listened to it. You know what I mean?
I mean, Blonde. I hated
Yeah.
Blonde when the first track came on, Nikes, and he has this chipmunk voice, and I was like, "What is this shit?" And then I didn't listen to it for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
2
Wow.
years.
Slept
It
on
came
it.
out in 2015, and then I put it on after I went through some shit, like with my ex-girlfriend, and then it's like one of the best heartbreak albums ever. It's like
Dude.
because I matured. I was ready for it. It was weird.
I had the
I
same.
love when music comes back around like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
love
it's
that.
it's so good, right?
Yeah, I had literally like the same experience kind of. At this point, hopefully none of my family members are listening.
They're gonna tune in real
Except the
fucking.
cool ones. I was at college, and it was like I was on the come down from an acid trip.
Okay.
And it was probably like 6 a.m, and for whatever reason,
We all
just like
been there.
randomly, it was like Frank Ocean. Like I want to listen to Frank Ocean, and so I went for a walk through the woods and listened to the entire Blonde album, and I was like, "Wow, that was beautiful."
I had
Like-
a similar experience tripping and listening to Blonde, and I cried.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
cried.
even kidding,
yeah.
because it's a very beautiful album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like track after track, Nike's
like-
Ivy, and then Pink plus White,
Yeah.
and probably the most beautiful song I've ever heard is Pink plus White, when the string orchestra comes in. It's
Mhm.
like do,
Yeah.
and then like that soft 3/4 or 6/4 piano, do. You feel like you're flying.
yeah. Do you get into Jaden Smith at all?
Oh, I love Jaden Smith, bro.
Jamie Smith.
Jaden Smith.
Jaden
I
Smith.
almost
Yo,
wore my
you ever listen to Willow Smith,
Yeah.
bro?
She's
her
nutty,
fucking,
too.
Not her most recent album. I can't believe I forgot the name of this album, but it's like a picture of her and she's like all purple and stuff. That's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Her vocals are
I gotta
fucking nuts.
check that out.
Bro, I love the Smiths, man.
Speaking
They're
of
so
siblings,
talented, man.
also Noah Cyrus,
Noah Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus's sister.
Okay.
Oh.
Wow.
Good.
Their brother too. His name's Trace. He's like incredible.
Oh, I didn't even know
I
I had a brother.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know she had siblings.
Yeah, they're literally.
found that out
Noah
during the
Cyrus is
Joe
the
Rogan
love of my
podcast.
life.
That's wild.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
With
It's
Miley
like,
Cyrus.
wait, she is.
I was like,
other
wait, what?
people?
And then like I started listening to them, and I was like, oh, I like them more than Miley. Like,
Oh shit.
Interesting.
Miley
their
Cyrus, come on the
music.
podcast and defend yourself.
yeah, come on, get on out here. Maybe one day.
It's crazy how music can just like move you like that. It's nuts. I think I'm gonna probably sound like a real surface level bastard, and all of my friends who listen to the same kind of music are probably, I don't know how they're gonna feel about it. But my saddest album I ever heard was American Football's first album. That
Wow.
shit fucked me up.
Super nostalgic.
Yeah.
Like the song "Home."
Yeah,
Dude, so great.
Drake
Shit.
always did it for me back in the day.
What?
Drake.
Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would cry my eyes out to Drake.
Oh shit. Well, like 2009 Drake.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that old shit.
Like best I ever had Drake.
yeah.
Honestly,
like some
weirdly
Marvin's
enough,
Room, like
Oh
that
yeah.
shit.
Channel Orange is, even though that's a pretty happy album,
mhm.
it hit me even like when I was a kid, you know, like, and like it even hits me more listening to it now, because I was 12 when it came out, and all of his songs are so nostalgic, but like I think the one song that hit me hard, and like I would say even like is a pretty, like one of the saddest songs I deeply resonated with, but I would never show anybody or like listen to it because I would probably cry. But it's actually called "There Will Be Tears," and he sings about his dead great granddad. Well, not great, but his dead granddaddy. And he said he was in the lyrics. He just basically confesses everything about his relationship with him. That he was the only father in his life. Yet all of his friends don't even have fathers, and they can't even miss what they had. But he said, "I can, and I'm sad."
Shit.
And he
Damn.
said, "There will be tears," and it's just a fucking. Every time like I get chills,
Just
I
hits the
listen to
spot.
that song. It's a fucking hardcore song. I'm like getting goosebumps
Yeah,
talking
That's
about it.
rough.
For me, like a similar one. You listen to John Mayer at all?
Nah, I've never
Really?
delved into
John Mayer?
discography,
Mm-mm.
but it's
No?
funny. He's played on Channel Orange.
John Mayer?
No, not me.
Well, I'll
John Mayer.
briefly mention it for the John Mayer fans, but the song "Slow Dancing in a Burning Room."
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like the basis of it is like being in a relationship that's like going to end, and you both know it, but you're like slow dancing together still.
Wait, you're not talking about Joji?
No.
Oh shit.
Maybe there's. Oh no, that's "Slow Dancing in the Dark."
Oh yeah.
That might be
That
like a
song's-
similar
that
kind
song's
of
so great.
concept.
Joji, that's
Jo-
an artist.
his
that
new
kinda-
album
that
is,
shit
like,
can make
really
me
good.
tear, man.
Yeah.
You recommend? I've never gotten to Joji.
Joji,
All
yeah,
of it,
Joji's
dude.
new
All of
album.
it?
I don't think
and the
Joji's made
rest
a
of
bad
it.
song.
Yeah,
I haven't
no.
heard his new album.
John Mayer too. Get into John. Seriously, like
Got you.
there's so much like, there's so many people who were like, nah, like John Mayer, like kind of like, there's a lot of like, what's the word?
Just like
I'm
Something-
like that.
there's a lot,
I was
there's
like
a lot
that for
of something,
MCR.
like around it. MCR.
preconceptions around it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a very.
It's not like hate, but
yeah, kind of though. You know, there's like a preconceived notion that it's like this. He's like this certain like thing, and like you
He
just
tra-
gotta
he
listen
tracks
to
these
it
kind of
and,
people
like,
to listen to it.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
it.
exactly. It's like
it's like experience it for yourself and
almost
then fucking
like
talk to me.
yeah, exactly. Experience it for yourself. Almost like people are like we were talking about earlier, like think that maybe he's just like trying to appeal to a broad audience, but I don't think so. Like
Nah,
that real
that shit's
recognized real. Like I
genuine.
think he's
Yeah.
a genuine motherfucker. Like
Yeah.
his music is beautiful. This is actually the first time we've really gotten into mainstream music on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think we might have talked a little bit about.
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but like really gotten in like
I guess.
in the shits.
Not all mainstream music is trash. Dude.
No,
There's some
no,
good-ass
yeah.
dudes out
Intermission.
And mainstream. I mean, you gotta pee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just pee.
Yeah, you just
Taking a
keep
leak.
going. Mainstream music, I feel like, is important too. Like, as much as like a majority of the time I'm listening to like people who I know or my friends' music,
Mhm.
like I feel like it's really important to listen to the mainstream music because certain mainstream music inspired the music that they're playing.
Right.
You
Okay,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Like I feel like to really get into like an artist's head, like I can appreciate their music if I like know them. But if I know what inspired that music
Uh-huh.
and like listen to what inspired it and then can like hear like how yesterday we were talking with Joe and Ciara, they were like told us like they're like 5 most like influential bands or whatever, like however many influential bands. And it was like I'm now like listening to the music that they listen to and it makes me appreciate their music
Yeah.
more because
'Cause
like
you
I
can
can see
hear
the
it.
influence and
Yeah.
I could see where it came from.
No doubt. No
You
doubt.
know?
Yeah.
That's something that I like did with your bassist, so you'll probably appreciate this. Red Hot Chili Peppers, like you a fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Flea,
Man,
like
I have so many fucking just memories of hearing Red Hot Chili Peppers in my life. That's
Yeah.
just crazy. Always,
Like-
always good memories though.
like Flea, for example, like he's like one of my favorite bassists. I
Crazy
actually,
motherfucker.
you know the band Primus?
Primus. I
Uh,
fucking
wait,
love it.
hold on.
I was
Shout
just
outs-
listening to Primus yesterday.
Yo,
Shout
hold on.
outs to Jamie Lawler. I'm
Jamie
butchering his
Lawler.
name. And Tori, my what is it? Lawler. Shout outs to Jamie Lawler and Tori. I'm forgetting your last name. I'm sorry. My neighbors.
Primus is
They
nuts.
showed me Primus
Are you-
yesterday for the first time.
Are you
in my
telling
life.
me
I've
yesterday was
never,
the first time
I've
you ever?
never heard it in my life.
Primus.
Dude, wait. So that means in the first episode you had no idea who I was talking about when I was talking about Les Claypool.
Yeah, no. Is
Oh
he
my-
a bassist?
He's the
He's
singer and the
he's-
bassist for
he is
Primus.
my new father. He's adopted me.
Oh my
He's
god.
my new dad. But
I
so
can't believe you've gone this long without hearing Primus.
So-
It's ridiculous.
anyway, like I heard that yesterday, and then Jamie. Shout outs again to Jamie. Like immense shout outs to him because I'm so excited about it. He sent me this like Primus versus Red Hot Chili Peppers Spotify playlist, and I literally like got a Spotify membership today so I could listen to it.
Oh,
And
shit.
it's like one and the other. And so back to what I was saying, I don't know how I got to Primus, because they're awesome, I guess. And
Primus is
and I
crazy,
was
bro.
listening to
Yo,
them
I was-
in accordance with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But like Flea, like I started listening to like I read an article about like the people who inspired him and like Parliament, like all that kind of stuff.
Sly and the Family
Bootsy,
Stone.
Sly and the Family Stone. I started listening
Jocko.
to that. Jocko, yeah. And then I was like, oh my god, funk. I was like, oh, I can hear it in Flea's like it's like
It gives you, like,
okay,
it
it
gives
makes
you-
now I know why he's like playing these like funky
you
bass
get that
lines.
deeper look
And
into
it's-
the artist.
Yeah,
you
it's
know
like
what I mean?
it's like rock and roll, but like there's these like incredible
You're like my 14-year-old self right
I
now.
know.
It's crazy.
I
It's blowing my mind.
I've always listened to a lot of music.
No, it's cool watching someone like getting excited about it.
Yeah, yeah. I've always listened to a lot of music, but I never like actively listened, right? Like I was always listening to music like constantly. Like I talked about on the first episode, I used to have like my headphones down my sweatshirt and I would pull my wrist thing over my palm and I would literally sit in every single class I was ever in high school and listen to music. I'd be like that, listening to music. And I'd be like, oh, I have an earache or something. Like if they're like, why are you always like that? I'm like, oh, my ear hurts, whatever. Like, why are you wearing a sweatshirt? I'm like, because I don't want to fucking hear you. I want to hear my music. And so I never really like got into it. And in college, like before Corona, like this past semester, or like before Corona, so the second semester of last year, I like really started like getting into shit. And I did that with Flea, and I was like, oh my god, like funk. And it was just this like fucking bomb going off in my head that
You
like,
obviously know about Thundercat then.
oh dude, I've been listening to Thundercat for a minute.
Good.
So like I know
Did you watch the
I
Ariana Grande?
I knew what funk
performance.
what
The one with Thunder.
at the Mac Miller tribute one? Was that?
It was like Adult Swim, so like
Ah.
Dami Keys and JD Beck.
Have
Amazing
you-
drummer,
did
by the
you
way.
s-
And they're on Adult Swim, and they did Them Changes, Ariana Grande.
Dude,
Thundercat.
all right, we're listening to that as soon as we're done.
Fucking-
Um,
Also,
Fucking
listen to
great.
the Tiny Desk performance with Mac Miller
Oh,
before
yeah,
he died
that's-
with Thundercat.
that's a
It's
must.
vicious. So
Yeah.
good.
It's almost like
dude, I was about to
a
mention that
standard,
one.
like the Anderson .Paak Tiny Desk. Like you have to know.
You
about that.
Thundercat on the shaker. Oh, have you seen the Alicia Keys one?
Really?
Alicia Keys belts. She performed. We were watching it last night. Ocean Eyes with Billie Eilish, and it's
Okay.
like
It's a great one.
insane. It's
I
insane.
love that
I
song.
started learning. That's what I was playing upstairs earlier.
Nice.
Ocean Eyes. Like I want to learn it now.
Billie Eilish
Um,
is dope, man.
She's
Alright,
amazing.
At this point, I feel like we're kind of just like
Off
bullshitting.
script?
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
Do you
I
have
don't
another-
know.
We
do
don't
you
have
have
another.
another-
Like
I
I
like talking about myself, so like, do you have another question?
I do have a little bit more. We can totally continue, or like I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have a script. We just kind of just go.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I wanted to talk. You talked a little bit about your writing process. You didn't really talk about writing. I didn't really talk about writing. I don't know if you have much to talk about with writing.
Nah, not really. I just
No.
play bass, dude.
Okay.
I
Well,
just work
I
here.
mean, you
Shut up.
No, you definitely write. Okay.
Shut up.
Don't lie. And if you don't, then you should write more. So next time you have writing to talk about. Poetry. How did you come across poetry?
Oh man. All right.
And like what?
So I always
age?
wrote raps in 6th grade, and that was something for me to be passionate about. Like I would even leave hanging out with friends and I would even tell them like I was proud of myself. I'm like, I'm going home to write raps,
Nice.
you know. And I would just have a desk set up for myself and a lamp and just fucking try to write. And it was all horrible. It was shit. And then I had such a low self-esteem and like I was insecure and I was like, I'm not a rapper. I'm not going to do this. This is hard. And I was like, okay, well,
Shout outs to my homie with the same mentality. He'll be listening to this. I'm not gonna say his name, but you know who you are. Shout outs to you. I love you, and we're starting a rap career together.
But anyway,
Sorry,
so
I had to put that out there for him.
So that was 6th grade to 7th grade, but in 8th grade I was still writing, and I wasn't even rapping anymore. I was just writing things unconsciously. I was just writing words that I thought were funny, you know, just like, and it was just absurd, and I would just like writing just for the sake of it, just for myself. And it was my expression because I have my brother who's an artist and he does it, and I like doing this, so why can't I just do it like this? This is my art, and I love doing it. And then I throughout high school I was doing that just a little bit, and my dad always read poetry, and he loved, you know, anything that I would get into, he'd be the hookup. He'd be like, yo, you gotta listen to this. Yo, you gotta read this. Yo, like, have you read this book? And you know, my dad is not even like my dad. He's like a roommate that is really kind of cool.
That's beautiful.
So
I love that.
That's awesome that you know what I'm saying, you can have a relationship like that with a parent.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's a
it-
blessing.
Anything is good and bad. I'm always, you know, when you live with somebody so long, you get so used to like someone's quality as a person. It's like a marriage, so you
Yeah.
forget some certain things until you talk about it. You know what? Like, I live with a cool dude.
Mhm.
I get to call him my dad.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You kind of lose appreciation for your parents when you live
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
And like that's something I've learned really when I like after I moved out. Like I was like texting my dad today a bunch about music, and I was like, why did I never talk to my dad about music? Like he's into such cool music.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Like me and my mom's relationship didn't like begin to be good until like I just didn't live with her. 'Cause growing up, me and my mom, like we just always butted heads with like everything, man. Like
Yeah,
it was
that's-
just always a struggle like with something. So like majority of the time we just spent a lot of time like arguing and just like disagreeing. But like when I
Yeah.
moved out, like it's just great. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, same thing with my brother.
things have changed. You know what I mean? Like roles are different.
Yeah,
and like
that's-
it's like, it's just good, man. You know what I mean? It's a blessing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
happy
exactly.
for you,
To
dude.
have like
Yeah,
a good relationship
me
with my
too.
mom,
Happy
because
for
like
you.
there was a point in my life where like there was just no relationship at all. Like
Yeah.
that's, you know what I mean, that's established and that's good and that's fucking great, man. That's a blessing.
That's exactly how I was too. It was like to the point where like we would always just butt heads and argue, and so the way I saw to solve that was to just not like speak to my mom at all, really. And she'd be like, "Hey, like, you want to talk?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to talk because we're just gonna argue." And then she's like, "Why don't you ever want to talk to me?" Like, blah blah blah. Shout out to mom, I love you.
Shouts out to Jack's mom.
I don't
We
know if
love
she's
you.
listening right now, and if she is, she's probably mad about the
acid
Oh,
story.
yeah the acid story about Frank Ocean.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, she's gonna ground me.
Anyway, so back to
Yeah,
what I was
sorry.
talking about. So like around this back to taking acid. So I took acid for the first time when I was 16,
Wow.
and it was some good shit. And like I was by myself,
Do you think like now? Do you think you were ready for it?
so ready. I
Really?
think like so ready.
That's awesome.
But I also learned a lot from myself, and I could talk for hours about that. But that's not what it's about. But
Yeah. That'll be another
I
episode. Later on, once we're established, we can start talking.
I feel like
about
everyone's
psychedelics for
epiphany is
3
like
hours.
so like profound. Like I discovered writing when I read this book. I actually discovered writing when I was in my underwear, just typing on my phone, and I was just writing some really. I was just rhyming. I was talking about very absurd shit, and I was just writing, and I was like, and when you're tripping and when you do something or create something, you're like, this is the fucking best shit. This makes sense in so many vague ways.
Yes.
And it doesn't make sense. at the
No,
same time.
after
So-
you look in your notes or your photos, and you're like, "What the fuck significance did this have?"
Yeah, so
But
I
at
read
the
it to my
time, it had
I read
all
it to
of
my
the
dad, and he
significance.
loved it. He supported
Really?
it. He was like, that sounds cool.
Because that's like
He's-
self doubt when you come back down.
Well,
And he was like, that sounds really cool. I was still in my underwear, by the way. And I was reading it
Were you
to
trip-
him
were
in
you
my underwear.
tripping?
I was tripping. Balls. Reading poetry to my dad
wow.
in my underwear
That's crazy.
and socks. Because that's the type of relationship we have here.
That's teenage
That's
George,
fucking
man.
tight.
That's teenage George.
Yeah. Well, he knew me.
Me and George
Oh, yeah,
have
how
known
long
each
have you
other
guys known each other,
a
by the
long
way?
time, man. I remember seeing this fucking guy in the woods when I was like 12. Just
Damn, that's
fucking
awesome.
Really?
ride around, smoke weed, do it, whatever.
Yeah.
I remember it was even like way before I don't know, I started smoking kind of young, but I remember seeing him in the woods. And he was with this kid who was smoking, and he was like, the kid asked me if I wanted to smoke,
my
and
God,
I never smoked yet at
makes me
this point.
cringe.
Nah,
I hate you.
but let me tell you something. George is a real one for this because at this point in my life, I had never touched any, like I didn't smoke yet, and this kid had asked me, and George was like, "Listen, man, if it's not you, don't do it." And at the time, I've never done it, so I was like,
Wise
I respect
from the
that.
time he was 12.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, was this? Are you saying when
He was 12. I
Oh,
was
he-
14.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
still.
but it's just crazy. I've
Still.
known this guy for a while, man.
Come on, dude. We're all doing it.
Nah,
But-
that would have
I'm
been
not-
me.
George,
I guess like
George is
Don't
a
be
real
a
one for that
pussy.
though, because he was just like, you know what, man, like don't do it if it ain't you. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple weeks later, I ended up smoking anyway, but that was on my own. But that
was
but
your
that was
decision,
on my
though.
own terms. You know what I mean? Like, I went out, I found it, I
Yeah.
brought it back. Like,
I didn't want to be the one. I didn't want to be the
And I
one.
brought that shit back.
That's awesome.
Oh god, I hate that story, but I love it. It's like cringy. Makes me sound like such a wuss. But anyway,
But it was real,
dude,
though,
Looking
but it was
back,
real,
no,
man.
those are wise
was real.
words.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
It was good
But
shit.
anyways,
honestly.
That's how.
back to my story.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
So
dicks.
you're on acid in your underwear talking to your
talking
dad.
to my dad and reading poetry. And he's like, "Oh, that's poetry," and I was like, "That's no, this is not poetry." And he's like, "Well, it sounds like it." And I'm like, and I had this like, you know, I felt insecure because I every time I thought of poetry, I thought it was like just people complaining, you know, because I went to these open mics back in the day, and all I saw they would call it poetry, but in my head, in my ignorant like 16-year-old like arrogant head, I was like, that's just complaining. And, you know, but art is art. You know, if you are doing it genuinely, you're doing it. But I just didn't think of it as poetry, in my opinion. But like he supported it, and he was like, keep writing. And I was like, and I was still in that acid high, and I put pants on, and
And then everything changed.
yeah, everything changed after that. When I put on pants, I'm like, I see why humans wear these things. They're just amazing. You
I'm
know,
the
they cover
opposite.
your
I'm
Nah,
like,
whole
fuck pants.
legs.
They're not natural.
Both
I'm
your
like, I
legs.
want to just get naked. I'm like,
But anyways, yeah, I kept with writing, and it really, I think like just doing it, and then posting it on Instagram,
that's
and then
something we
having
talked about a lot.
people come out to me, even like stop me walking in the hallways in high school and be like, dude, I saw you've been posting your poetry, and I've been writing poetry too. You want to see mine? And I'm like,
I'll show
and I'm
you
like-
yours if you show me mine.
yeah. And I was like,
I'll show you mine
job,
if you
Jack.
show me yours.
people would read their poetry to me, and I was like blown away. Like, I'm like, feeling just not like just doing what I want, writing and expressing myself, even though it was a very vulnerable thing, you know. And a lot of my close friends, like, they unfollowed me because they just didn't want to see that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
They weren't your close friends,
love,
bro.
Yeah,
I-
and they really weren't your friends.
Dude, I
man.
love shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'll be here waiting for you
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
when you're ready. You know, I'll be here waiting.
And it was cool to have people in high school and just come out and be like, I just started writing poetry too because I saw that you've been doing it. Like, I had someone say that to me.
I think I said,
And I was,
I don't know if it was like that, but something along the lines of like when I started sharing it, I was
yeah.
like, dude, you've inspired me. Like,
Oh,
it's like,
thanks, man.
like I said in the very beginning of the podcast, like surrounding yourself with, I was always like, I want to be friends with him, you know, because like,
Thanks,
'cause
man.
he would be a good person to be around.
Thanks. I think the same as all of you. And I've always thought that of Darius. I've always wanted to be around him. Always wanted to be around you. You know, especially just people who are like willing to go above and beyond of what they're doing and try to advance themselves. And I think that goes to the beginning of the conversation of just
Yeah.
like who you surround yourself is really integral to your own self growth, but also your own self growth and your own creativity.
Look at that perfect circle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Done.
continue with your poetry? Or is that the extent of your poetry life, or was there a little
I
more
could
at the
go
end?
on and on, but at that point I'd be rambling.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
I'll I want a little me time, I guess. I'll talk about my poetry a little bit, I guess.
No one tunes in to hear
Um,
you speak, Jack.
Yeah, you're right. Whatever.
Oh my god.
That was harsh.
You're fired.
Goddamn.
This is the last rose, and I'm not giving it to you. But yeah, so the thing is a Rick and Morty quote that I love so much, and it's I'm gonna start it off with that: is school's not a place for smart people. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
that was
agree.
like episode 1.
I agree.
yeah,
I don't remember that.
I hated writing my whole life because I was always forced to write about things that I didn't want to write about, and it wasn't like an art to me. It was more like
I have to.
I have to.
I
Like,
relate.
it's like a project or something. Like, I need to get this done. Like, I can't write what I want to write about. So like, I was always like, I fucking hate writing. I was always good at it though. Like, I always like got like when I would try, because that was the thing, is I wouldn't always try, because when I didn't care, I didn't try. So like, if I cared a little bit, or like I was like forced to like, you have to do good on this or you're gonna fail, and like my parents are gonna like kill me. Like, I would be good at it, and it was like, I'm good at this, but I hate it. And it's like, I never thought like why. Like, I never thought, why do I hate this so much? Like, so I never did it recreationally, because any time that I had to do it, it was such a chore that it's like, why would I ever want to do that?
No,
And
exactly.
so I think a lot of it almost all of it stems from like caring what people think about me, I guess. Because like I'm like caring what like my teachers think and my parents and stuff like that. But it was almost like necessary, I guess, in the long run to get to where I am today. So like, I'm not saying like, oh, I wish I did things different, you know? It's just, it is what it is, I guess. It's like back to the
Ease what it is.
being here now, you know, like enjoying it. But when I got to college, I started like I took a couple classes that were like interesting to me, and I like enjoyed writing about like these like philosophical books that I was reading, stuff like that. And I had a couple like English teachers that were like really, really good, and they were the ones who pushed us to like write. It wasn't like write this prompt. It was like, here's an idea, write what you want to write about this idea, like some like love. Like they would just say like here, write me an essay or write me a poem or write me something about love. And then that's when I was like, oh my God, like,
because you got the freedom to take it where you want to take it.
Take it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like those classes I would always have A's in. Like it would be like 4.0 in those classes. But then the classes where it's like read this, this, and this, and then write about like this and this or whatever. And it's like, or like compare this and this, like two things that I don't really care about. But when it's two things that I enjoy, it's like, oh yeah, I'll compare the shit out of these two things and I'll do good with it. And then so I was always like a very like deep thinker. Like I started listening to podcasts. Like you guys familiar with Sam Harris?
I think I've heard
familiar
of
with
it.
the name, but
I've heard the
he
name.
has
like people have
the
always
app,
recommended me.
the meditation app. He's really big into meditation.
Oh, that dude.
It's called Waking
Sorry,
Up.
I thought
The,
that was
oh,
funny.
it's Waking
Oh,
Up. The
that
Waking Up.
dude.
The Waking Up app. His podcast.
No,
is
that's
called,
what I'm
yeah,
saying. I actually heard of the app.
His
Actually,
podcast is called Waking Up. So that Joe Rogan, Duncan Trussell,
Love
and
Duncan.
they would talk about these like ideas. Also, who's the other dude?
Joey Diaz.
Well, yeah, Joey Diaz.
On
Obviously,
the podcast,
he's
or
a
are you
fucking
talking about a different guy?
on the podcast. He does On It. You know On It with Joe.
Yeah.
He does like all the ayahuasca trips and stuff like that. Aubrey Marcus.
Aubrey Marcus. That sounds so familiar.
Aubrey Marcus. He's an incredible, inspirational human being. You should check out, like, listen to his podcast. It's really, really good. But he had a podcast. So I'm listening to all these podcasts. I'm like thinking very deeply about things, like all these concepts that I never thought about, or I never thought that I could be wrong about things really. And like, there's like more out there than what I have in my like little ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
No.
Echo chamber?
Echo chamber.
Oh.
Echo chamber, yeah. Like there's so much more out there. And so I listened to this podcast. It was probably my freshman year of college with my favorite poet in the entire world. His name's InQ. And it's like Inquire.
Mm-hmm.
And his book, I think he has one book. It's called Inquire Within. And so he basically talks about this writing, like short writing retreat that they did, like for beginners. And he was like, you are a poet. Like everyone can be a poet. Anyone can be a poet. Like it's really easy too. Like people think it's hard, but it's easy. Like stop what you're doing right now. This is a little challenge to anyone who's listening too. Like do this. Stop what you're doing right now. Right?
Stop listening to
And
our podcast.
yeah, like put it on pause after I finish speaking. I don't know if anyone's gonna do this, but for the future, if people come back and listen to this is for you. Stop what you're doing, and just think about what you're feeling and thinking, and just like put it to paper. It doesn't have to rhyme, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can rhyme. Like it doesn't have to be A B A B. It doesn't have to be like A A B B whatever. Like you can do it if it fits in that, but it doesn't have to. Like you don't have to. You're kind of like limiting yourself almost in poetry when you like try to make it something rather than just making it. And so I was listening to that podcast and he said that, and it was like I stopped and I just like started writing, and I was like, oh fuck. And then I listened to that podcast like 5 times, like over and over and over again. Like I wanted to soak up every single little thing he said. And they're both poets, so I started like being interested in poetry listening to Aubrey's podcast, because he would like read a poem every once in a while, and like it wasn't his main thing, but like he just wrote poems and like enjoyed reading them. And so he had NQ on it, and then it was like, whoa, like there's this whole like universe of thought in my mind that I haven't tapped into at all, and like I haven't done anything with. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle, man. Like you express it, you know what I mean, and then you
Exactly.
start to express it over again and again, and you know,
And the
so
same
gets
goes for
stronger,
music.
yeah.
it begins
Yeah.
to like be
But
fluent.
everyone can make music. Everyone can make poetry. I'm sorry
Exactly.
to
Exactly.
cut
No,
you
but
off.
exactly.
Yeah,
though.
no,
I
it's
hate when
so-
someone says, "Oh, like, oh, you know, I'm not talented," or "Oh, I don't have this or that," because like, nah, shut up. Like, you could do it. Like,
Yeah.
I promise you, you can. Like, you don't gotta have some type of special gift to do this or learn that. Like I said, hit that fuck it button.
Hit the
and just
fuck it
fucking
button.
do
Hit
it.
the
Like,
fuck
just
it
do
button
it.
and go
I got
jam.
something to say. It's like I don't ever want to be a good enough musician to feel like I deserve to only play with a specific amount of people because they're good enough to play with me.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is playing with people that don't know what they're doing. Like that is my favorite thing. Like or people who just
Yeah, we
don't
gotta
care
jam
what their creative process is. It's
upstairs
they
after
just
this.
let go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And like that is my favorite when some people are like discovering things while playing.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
it.
It's
All day long, it's like happening to me. It's incredible. Like I'll just be like playing a scale, and then it's like, oh, I could just play it a little different, and it sounds like it's a song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's amazing that you say that because I'm the exact opposite. I love playing with people who are multiplicatively better than me all the time. Like
I like that too.
because like I'm like learning and stuff, and that's the amount of pressure that I am comfortable with because like you know it just that makes me feel like all right, I gotta bring my A game if I'm working with these dudes, and they'll all these better musicians will like teach me stuff, or like I'll learn stuff just by
Exactly.
watching them play and stuff. And Darius, what you said, it's like a muscle, like when it comes to the way you think and how you perceive music and just creativity. Like the more you do it, the stronger you're gonna be at it.
I like people's ideas the most. I think
Yeah.
like even if you're like playing with Johnny, like Johnny Smith,
Mhm.
shout out to Johnny. But I was like, yo, play
Shout out to
something
Johnny
fucking
Smith.
hard. Like I want you to like put on that fuzz and just play something hard. And we were doing it. I was like, yeah, you know, like, and I think at times with Darius, he would come up with a bass line. Like I think the last time we jammed, you came up with this fucking bass line.
It was
and you're like,
funky. It was
yeah,
some funky
you,
shit.
and you wrote it
Nice.
prior, and then we just played it, and it was like a whole different song when we played it again. you
Oh
know?
yeah.
And it was just like really cool to. I love ideas. I love when someone has an idea, and we're like, okay, what should we do with it? Should I play guitar, or like we do this, or like, oh, we should harmonize? And it's like I love that like collaborative effort.
There's such a
to the-
there's such a static in the air when everyone in the room gets excited about an idea and you
Oh,
start
hell
like
yeah.
bouncing off each other and like it creates this just fucking rad energy.
The idea
love that.
is the foundation to
Yeah.
like the, you know what I'm saying, say like the project or like the music is like the house, you know what I mean, like the idea is fuck, what the fuck was I saying? I just
music
said it.
is like a house.
The idea
The idea is
is
like,
the foundation,
Foundation.
you know what I mean, like it's just like that first thing that comes about, and then
Yeah,
time to
like
bring
the
it to
scale.
reality and bring it like to the physical world, because like the idea starts in the brain, you know what I mean, you start playing something, doing something, like that brings it to the real life, like to the physical world, and like you can just build off of that, and that's great, man.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's quick. I forget if it was you or Kristen Beal. It was probably both, honestly, who said to me, and this is something that I now believe and like really think is important, that like jamming is like the best way to improve
Yeah,
as a musician.
It is.
Yeah,
It
And
is.
like playing with other people.
Yeah, it
I
definitely
love.
is.
I used to be like a snob and just only want to play with like certain people, and that, you know, even that mindset limits you, and then just you're playing it, you getting limited to who you're playing with. So I think like, and it sounds like an ego thing, like, oh, I like playing with people who are
Yeah.
like I'm better than, you know, because I like feeling better than everyone else, and it's like no, it's not
Yeah.
that either. It's
Then
like
you're just
I
not
just like playing
growing,
with
really.
anybody. Like if you want to do something, that's my favorite thing to do is play music,
Yeah.
because it's like a social thing. Like we're having a conversation,
Yeah.
but making sounds. Like
No,
it's
music is like another form of communication or like expression. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
expression, but
yeah.
almost like communication, because when you're jamming with other people, you know what I mean? Like you feel that, you know
You're
what
like,
I mean? Like
you're
music-
communicating, because like you kind of like play how you
with
feel.
body language.
So
Yeah.
you're communicating your feelings with each other almost, and like playing along with each other.
It's very
feelings
primitive.
and-
It's
too.
amazing you
Yeah.
bring that up. Music is the universal language. Have you ever like just
So
like
true.
listened to a song that is written in a language you don't speak?
oh, all the time, bro.
It's
All the
incredible because it's like you can feel what it's going for. Like you know what it
the
is.
key changes. What kind of keys are they playing with? Like,
Exactly, and then
oh,
Also,
they're using this progression. It's
The sound
sad.
carries the mood. You know what I
exactly,
mean?
and then also I love listening to Eastern music a lot.
Oh man.
Because a lot of Eastern cultures with music and how their music theory has evolved is not necessarily in the same 12-tone equal temperament as Western music. So they have a different idea of scales.
It's not
They have-
You know what,
recording.
Johnny Smith was actually. I was just having a
Okay.
conversation with him the other day, and he was just breaking that down for me.
Oh, about the different temperaments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's outstanding because, like, you know, there are, you know, in some Eastern cultures, like we have the most common time signature in Western music is 4/4, but that could be weird to another culture and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and just seeing that and realizing it, but then but experiencing it is just awesome because they are not only, even if there's a vocalist singing in a language that I don't understand or don't speak, but they're playing in a style of music that I am foreign to and don't understand, but I can still feel exactly what they're trying
Yeah.
to communicate. Maybe
I-
not
Yeah.
exactly, but you know,
I
feel
love
their
like
style.
time signatures of like African rock music. Like there was this one melody of this Ethiopian riff, Ethiopian like group, and the riff was like do 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 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I figured it out, and it was just like I love this, and it doesn't feel like a like a like a 6/4 that typically Western people would play, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. I think like a lot of Western culture we address the 6/4 as like something like la 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 la,
Right.
whereas
neat.
like I feel like African music, their approach to the 6/4 is very fast, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6
Right.
1 and 2 and 3 4 and
It's
you could do
interesting.
like eighth notes and 16th notes.
Right, because both of them feel like they're kind of swung in a way.
Yeah.
Like at least the examples you provided, like 1 2 3 4 5 6, and whatever, it's kind of swung, and then the like that the African
Ethiopian,
beat,
yeah.
Ethiopian, that you mentioned, it kind of sounds in the same swung-ish kind of vein, but
Yeah.
it almost feels like it's like 6/8,
Yeah.
or maybe even faster. I don't know how.
Definitely faster,
It's,
yeah.
it's nuts, man. I love that.
It's cool, and like they're more syncopated. They're more.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what it is.
definitely.
It's the rhythms are more syncopated in sometimes Eastern cultures, or like or just in Africa. Like they are like the master of syncopation, and like that's what I'm learning. And when I'm studying syncopation, my dad's like, it sounds like you're just doing military beats, like because it's just all different kinds of
Rudiments and
yeah, and it's just boring. But like, and he's like, why do you even do it? And I'm like, well, here, I'll let you know. So imagine a 4/4 song, and it's like 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4. I could take that and be like 1 and 2 3 and 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15. You know, like
Yeah.
and you can, and even how you say it, and like have you ever heard about Eastern like language of how you like before you play the tabla, they give you you have to say it before you play it. That's
The tabla?
their philosophy. So like quarter notes is ta ta ta. Eighth notes taka 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 taka. Triplet notes takida 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 takida. And then like 16th notes takidimi 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 takidimi.
That's
and then like
so cool.
yeah, and then like takidimi takida takidimi takida takidimi taka takiti, and you could just fuck around with that by yourself, and then you're just like, oh, I got a song.
Yo,
Yeah.
I never heard of that. That's rad, man.
That's something I do a little bit. I mean, I kind of hopped in, like in the middle of that, but something I do when I practice bass a little bit is like always like switch it up, kind of, and like go into like different notes, different like
Some
Speeds,
ghost notes
shit
and
like
stuff.
that,
I love
yeah.
hitting ghost notes.
Ghost
Um,
notes are the best. dude.
yeah.
That's how you add the funk.
And
That's
then
that funk,
also,
that-
in addition with that, like
Choke.
talking about like saying what you're doing and stuff, is when I'm like playing scales, I'll like say each note
Do re mi fa
as
sol
I
la ti do
play it,
type
or
thing.
like C,
Or just
D,
say
E,
C
yeah.
D.
Oh.
Yeah,
E,
C,
F,
D,
G.
yeah, because it makes me like memorize the keys more, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's like really, and same thing when I'm playing bass, like with the notes, like I'm like whatever I'm playing.
You might appreciate this, Jack. The one thing that helped me a lot on bass is very similar. about saying what you're playing, but literally, and I actually learned it from Flea, because he spoke about it in an interview once. So like, if
Dad.
you're just like jamming around, be like do 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 do,
Yeah.
and like actually do it to yourself.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. Is that if you watch a video of Flea just doing like a jam or something on YouTube, look closely at his mouth. He does it all the time. Like
That's
it's actually really
incredible.
cool.
Yeah,
I
'cause
love
then,
that.
then you're like better at like singing along with it too,
Right.
right? Is that the aim?
It also it helps with your mental map of your instrument.
Okay.
And like stuff.
You're
It's really
embodying
cool.
that.
That makes sense.
I mean, like,
singing too, right?
You look at Medeski Martin Wooded, the organ player, man.
Mm-hmm. Not familiar.
He's literally saying everything he's playing. He's like, and like, luckily he doesn't have a microphone. Imagine they just singled out the microphone.
Oh man.
I feel
So, you know, like,
that
that'd be
reminds
fucking
me.
crazy.
You know Jacob Collier?
Oh god,
Right,
what
yeah,
a
he's-
absolute legend.
That
I love
reminds
Jacob
me
Collier.
of like him, how he
He's a
like
genius.
sings sometimes with like
He's a
along.
genius.
Like it's like he's like singing exactly what he's playing, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Genius.
He's a fucking genius.
A legend.
So
I mean, his music is I'm not crazy about, but
yeah,
hey, he's
yeah.
a genius.
I
Yeah.
can't like get into it really.
It's
Like
too-
I
it's
like
too
listen to the
much.
album and it's just like so much. But like I can like when I see him like when I watch like live videos or something.
That's when
I'm
it's
like,
interesting. It becomes
wow.
like an education piece.
Yeah.
There's a lot of musicians that I have a lot of respect for, but I personally don't like their music that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like, there's still talent. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah,
like,
for sure.
you
Dream
gotta respect
Theater.
it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Dream Theater.
Oh, you're not a big fan of Dream Theater?
Too much for
Yeah.
me.
But like you like respect that they're all fucking like
They're
crazy.
amazing
Yeah,
musicians.
yeah. I feel the same. Like what's his name? Mike Portnoy. Yeah, he's just a psycho drummer.
Yeah.
He's amazing. But like, yeah, I like Dream Theater, but I don't listen to them all the time.
And there's a lot of like jazz legends sometimes where it's like I get it, but I just don't want to. I'm not into it.
Like
You know.
who?
Keith Jarrett, amazing
Oh, okay.
piano player. You know, like legend. His music, it's just too much.
I
Like
feel
it's
you.
great. His skill, amazing. But the music, I'm just like, am I gonna listen to this every day? No.
Yeah.
It's like,
It
but
just
like
be-
then John Coltrane, he's an amazing saxophone player, and I love it.
Yeah.
But like, but I guess it's because it's so sincere. What he's
Yeah.
playing is what he fucking means. And then he just did free jazz, and he's just doing like noise. He's just not even believing in the note what he's playing. He's just doing what he wants.
Coltrane's a champion.
Yeah,
Well,
Love
that's it.
Supreme. I recommend it. And also, that fun fact about a Love Supreme I found out is that like a Love Supreme, where that came from was just the Allah Supreme, Allah Supreme, Allah Supreme, and then he just changed to a Love Supreme because you know our country's very.
I can save it.
Islamophobic.
I wanted to circle back to the idea of writing and stuff, which is funny because I had an experience in high school where I took a creative writing class in my senior year, and it didn't go well because I wish I kind of had your experience, Jack, where they just gave you like a very broad prompt. You could take it wherever you wanted,
That was in college.
or well, still either way.
So-
It was, you know, terrible because first there was nothing like that. It was just telling us about. I was just being taught old traditional styles of writing. They'd be like, all right, you have until next week to write a limerick, or like do a fucking. I don't even remember. Limerick was the only one I remember because it was like funny and kind of dumb, but. All those kinds of, or like next you have 1 week to write a haiku and stuff, and I'm like, I guess, but, and then I
I had
went.
so much fun with those.
Yeah, it's,
I mean,
it's circling back
'Cause I
to
just
like
didn't- I
writing
didn't-
about things that you
when it came
don't
to
wanna
that,
write about.
I hated high school, never taken it seriously, but with the creative writing, it was creative writing, so I just did like dirty, like dumb, and I got along with the teacher, so when I was writing haikus, it was like I pissed and shitted. Felt good.
It's like beautiful.
Well, see, he would just I would just wait until he reads it, and he would just be like, and it was hilarious.
The
Just him,
syllable
like-
count's good, so I gotta give you an A.
It was creative.
I mean, well, see, that's the thing. Like, it was informative. I thought it was interesting, but I couldn't get behind that the whole like structure of all the traditional styles of things,
Yes.
and like I wanted to write and I had ideas, but it didn't fit into what we were doing. So therefore, it's like I want to be creative, and my teacher's like, you can't be. Technically, like obviously that wasn't said directly to me, but that's kind of what the situation felt like.
Yeah.
No one learns by compulsion.
Exactly. And now, but then I came to the idea. I was like, all right. I sat down with my teacher at the time. I was like, hey, would it be all right if I did my writing? Because we would have to like get up in front of class and read whatever we wrote. I was like, it was okay if I did mine musically, and they were like, no. And I was like, why? It doesn't make
This is
sense.
a creative writing class.
And it was like, well, you can take one of the other music classes. And I was like, you know what? I will. So I dropped the class and I went to music. But I thought that was ridiculous because
I feel like that should be some extra credit or something.
Yeah.
like,
Right?
like-
I heard like I don't know if it's true. It could be a myth or something, but I heard that the word rap came from the abbreviation of rhythm and poetry. So
makes
Maybe.
sense.
That makes
but
sense.
so I was like, it's 1 and 1. Like
It
why
is poetry.
why it's
Yeah.
one and the same? Why can't I be musical in this creative writing class? So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna not come to this class anymore.
I had so much fun. They were like, write your own play. And I was like, cool.
What? I wish I had that.
I was like, I just wrote about a murder. It was great. And I get murdered. I just wanted to be one who was murdered.
Man,
Like, for some reason.
my high
It's
school had the
like-
worst creative
And
writing. That
Murdered.
sounds
I
so
was
cool.
freaking out my
Murdered.
teacher. I was like, I've always wanted to be murdered, so I'm writing this.
Whoa.
What the fuck?
They can send you to school.
Honestly, I wish I used to go
If
to
that shit
improv
happened now-
classes, and I loved that shit.
You went to improv
At
classes?
7, I only went for
Damn.
like 2 months, but I was a really like insecure kid, and I quit. But like,
Shit.
I miss it. Like, I feel like I would thrive in doing acting or like some other shit because I just love like that's music to
being,
me.
it's like it's creativity.
I would
Yeah.
like to act,
Creativity.
honestly.
Just,
That's
like,
just dope.
Instant creativity.
There-
And, like,
there will
I feel
be-
like improv, like I would love to learn those tools at improv and bring that to like just even social settings. Like, okay, guys, let's gather around and we gotta act like an animal that you think of. And what do you think it would sound like? Let's go. What would a dolphin sound like? You know, and what's up?
That wasn't bad, Jack.
And it would just be great. And I love doing shit like that. Like when you're on the spot and you're like, be a dolphin. Okay.
There's definitely, I'll definitely hit you guys up. There's gonna be some like, I'm hoping to do some like funny like maybe little mini like sketch comedy skits,
That'd
stuff
be
like that
great.
with like acting and stuff. So
I
I'll
love that.
definitely
I'm with
need
it.
actors.
I'm with it.
And I don't
I'm
care
totally
how
with that.
fucking good you are. I don't care if you're fucking dog shit.
Let's do
It's
it.
just gonna be to have fun and fuck around.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Try and make people laugh. Give people something to like consume in between.
Honestly, if we
podcasts.
just make ourselves laugh, I'm
Yeah,
cool
that,
with that.
dude. That's
Exactly,
all.
that's all you need.
Literally that's all. Because I've been like having so many ideas where it's like I'm like writing these ideas down and like think like visually like seeing them like 2-3 people like doing this skit and it's like
Yeah.
fucking hilarious to me and that's like really all that matters at this point.
Bring it to reality, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Bring it to reality.
we'll make it
That's a-
happen
That's
soon.
a thought idea.
Were you
Make
the
it
kid
happen.
that like never wanted to read in class?
Yeah.
Yes,
Really?
I
Yeah.
was. I
You guys
was for
weren't that
sure.
way?
Oh no,
I
I
loved it.
I
Failed
had
so
that-
many
I hated-
classes because of that. Because
I
I
was
couldn't
so-
stand up in front of a class.
I had no self confidence at all ever like
Uh-huh.
until like a year or two ago.
Mhm.
Like zero. Like I fucking hated myself.
Mm.
And so like
I feel
any,
that.
like me talking, me speaking, like
Hearing
Like,
yourself.
I didn't even like talking. Like I hated like my ideas too because I just like hated everything. Like
Mm.
everything was just bad. But like now it's not the case anymore. So, and then that actually kind of circles back to the Buddhism that we were talking about in the beginning. Is like just being grateful that all of that happened and being grateful for the bad because of the good. You
The
know,
bad
it's
is
like-
great, man. Like some of the worst times of my life are honestly the best because it led to me being here today, and that's fucking great. You know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah, man.
Shout outs to Blue Boy Burr, Lil Burr. He was on the other day, and he was talking about the latest project that he released on Apple Music, and it's like it was from like the darkest time of his life, and he was like saying that he was basically thankful for it because it created this like
Banger.
this like banger and like character of
Like that song
of Lil
fucks,
Burr.
dude.
Like
Mhm.
so, I thought that was really cool and
And
somewhat relevant.
I
But
dig
so-
that though.
I got
I
something
respect it.
relevant to that though.
Okay.
Um,
I have just grab me when you're ready to say that. I have two things that I want to do. I feel like we could sit here all fucking night. I kind of want to hang out and like jam a little bit. I feel like we'll definitely do another one eventually.
I unfortunately can't stay too long, but I got work.
Okay.
No, it's all good.
But I
There are
got
two things.
something. What we were talking about before is that like I think what we experience in these hard ass fucking moments, I felt like everything that I've done was cathartic for me at some point. Music, writing, before like even really thinking about it as like some serious thing. I felt like I understood to its full extent till I went through some shit recently, and like I was like, wow, I really use music and poetry as like some cathartic expression for me to just process things. And long story short, maybe I told this to y'all, but like I recently was talking to a girl. We were talking, and she was like, oh, let's go to Boston. We go to Boston. She hooks up with a girl, and she's basically hooking up with her in front of me. I just like get super uncomfortable, like any guy would when you're talking to a girl and she's just like overcrossing some boundary that you established with her. And it just sucked. I drove all the way to Boston and just watched this girl hook up with another person in front of me. And I was like freaking out.
That's when
going
you start the throuple.
And like I didn't even freak out on her. I didn't like call her names or anything. I was just like, all I said was I was uncomfortable and I'm hurt. And then she like condemned me for it. I was like, this is weird. And it was like the most emotionally abusive time of my life. I've never been so emotionally abused by someone, but I just was like, I've been through this before, so I was just laughing at it. I had a clearer vision this time. But like when I was going through it and like everything was going down and I was at this apartment in this most uncomfortable situation.
Shit.
Hearing them just like hooking up and I'm like by myself and I'm like, this is the like I feel like this feels scripted. So I was like writing some shit and it's fucking dark. I don't even relate to this. I haven't read this since I wrote it.
yeah.
So you guys ready for this? It's dark
Let
shit.
me hear
Yeah,
it.
let's
man.
hear it.
I'm ready.
It's called I'm not much into politics. I'm not much into politics. Then again, I find myself not much into anything. Disinterested, dissatisfied. My heart beats faster than my mind can think. My heart beats faster than a ship would sink. Sometimes I like to bathe in my misery, within my own pool of silence. I say things to people like, I'm just tired. I say things to people like, don't worry. I say a lot of things I wish I have gone and said. I'm not much into politics, but I'll say anything at this point, though.
I feel like I can relate to that at a specific time in my past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you posted
I can
that,
relate.
right?
I deleted
remember.
it.
I
I was
remember
like-
reading that. I love it though.
That was
Yeah.
dope. I like that.
That what was the last line again?
I'm not much into politics, but I'll say anything at this point.
I love that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I love when things circle around.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Did you
Yeah.
have another one that you wanted to?
Oh, I have other ones, but
I mean, yeah,
they're
okay.
dark, man.
All right.
It's very like
You know what, man?
self-hatred.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what. I used to write, I guess like more poetry a couple years ago, but poetry was something for me to express myself in another way other than music. But poetry was it was
I felt that way too.
It was an outlet, but I feel like all my poetry was like dark. Like I didn't really have any happy poetry because it was mainly just me trying to express my pain or something, or like my discomfort. But
Do you think it would be different now if you did it again?
yes,
Because like
I
the
mean,
place that you're in.
Not for me.
I mean,
Really?
Nah.
Really?
I don't
It's my
really
only
know.
outlet for like my own pain. I can never be happy and just be like, I'm happy, not crappy. Yay.
Yeah. I guess I feel that mine aren't. Mine used to be really, 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 really dark, and I'll like eventually I'll like read that or post it somewhere
like-
or whatever.
You guys make
but-
me want to dig up my fucking poems.
Yeah,
man.
dude. Do you have any on your phone?
I got some dark
I
shit.
literally only actually yes I do.
Here.
Somewhere.
You want to pull something? Maybe see if you can find something while
Yeah,
I.
man.
All right, I'm gonna read two. I shared both of these with George. He's heard them before. if the grammar's bad, it's because they're like first draft, and if they're bad, it's also because they're first draft. But you know what? Fuck, I don't
We're
care.
not judging.
Yeah, well, whatever,
Just
whatever,
read the
whatever.
Damn poem.
All right. Anger comes from confusion, from living life in the delusion, a constant state of execution. There's something that can relieve you from this confusion, but you must put yourself on display for persecution. I just like got caught up in that because I wrote can relieve you from the confusion, but that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. But that's what I got.
That was cool, man.
Darius, you got anything?
Yeah, man, I found this one. I wrote, this is 2019, but it's a short, simple one. It says, it's funny when you look back at life and miss all the things you didn't like. A sacred, holy, special peace to who you used to be. An achy heart in a sense of silence with thoughts of anger and younger violence. A toast of death to the peace that left.
Damn.
Yo.
that's,
Fuck.
Damn, that was good.
That's good.
I love that.
love that.
Right on, man.
That was good.
Damn, I'm trying to look.
Makes me want to write some more poetry, man. Honestly, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. So if you're still here, if you're interested in getting into meditation, I want to put this here for people who are interested, haven't done it at all. It's extremely beneficial. I mean, do you?
I meditate every day.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this.
Yeah. I don't.
Just speak to the benefit of it.
To be honest, I don't meditate super long. Meditation is something that I would like and I'm trying to build more into. But every morning I wake up, after I stretch, I'll do like a quick meditation, like 15, 20 minutes. I'll just focus on my breath
That's
and
pretty good.
just ground
that's pretty good.
myself
That's
and
like
then
that's pretty
just
long.
get on with my
I mean,
day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like that's also where it comes in, like saying like my thank yous and being thankful and just
Yeah.
like because already doing that, like it gets my mind in the right place. And then once I
Mindfulness.
sit down and then once I'm starting to meditate, like I'm in the right state of mind. But like I don't know, there's always things to let go of. There's always things that we're holding on to. So
Mhm.
that just helps me in the morning. Just I don't know, just get the day started. You know?
Yeah, there's always. You can always do it. Like, it goes hand in hand with like mindfulness and like being aware of things that are happening
Yeah.
and just like kind of making mental notes. Like, if you say you're driving and you get angry and you're like, I just got really angry, and like,
It's good to be.
Oh my
It's
God.
good
know,
to
just,
stay.
like, to notice that.
But
and-
that's when it comes to being
Softly
at the
observe.
Yes.
observer point. Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
you
like
need
being
to
at the
always be
observer's point.
aware. I started doing this little thing where you go for a walk and you just focus. It's like body meditation kind of thing. You focus on the feeling in your feet, like the
The
progress.
sensation.
the
That's walking
sensation,
meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, the sensation between like your heel to the tips of your toes and then pushing, and like you just sit and like really hone in on it, and it brings like so much clarity. It's ridiculous. Like I can't speak enough for how important and beneficial meditation is. So on that note, let's all sit back.
Usually,
Um,
I mean, like, preferably we would be on the ground.
Yeah, preferably-
cross-legged, straight back,
yeah.
and because that's how you get proper airflow.
You want to really roll your shoulders back and like present your chest kind of in a
Yeah.
way, and then
Because
could-
it's just like it's good to breathe with straight back when you're just relaxing.
yeah,
That's not-
you're closed off.
y-
Yeah, I
exactly.
didn't mean relax, like, you know. So straight up and down, like have a soft focus. Either close your eyes or don't. You can do it with them open, or you could close them. Start to take deep breaths in and out, and just feel the sensation in your nose, in your chest, up and down, in and out. Just breathe. You can count the breaths. 1 in, 2 out. 1 in, out. Doesn't really matter. And as thoughts come to you, notice them, but don't spend time thinking about them, and go back to counting. 1, 2. 1, 2. try to keep on your mind the idea of inhaling, feeling all the air come into you, exhaling, emptying out, keeping your posture. Once again, as they always do, thoughts will arise. Note them as thoughts and then let them pass. Focus on the breath. So this is one form of meditation. We're going to pass it over to George for another. Keep in mind this one as well while you're doing the other.
Since we don't have time for a whole body scan, I'd rather just do the face. We could just start from the top of the head. And you don't have to close your eyes all the way. You could, when you look at a statue of Buddha, his eyes are not fully closed. They're slightly open, looking down. And that helps you not get into the habit of falling asleep while or thinking of sleep when you're meditating. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths through the nose, only through the nose, not out the mouth, only through the nose. So inhale, hold it, exhale. Again, inhale softly. Exhale softly. One more. Let's put intention into it. Inhale. Exhale softly, as slowly as possible. So we're going to start at the top of the head. And just scan what does the head feel like objectively, not emotionally. Just a subtle sensation, heat sensation, or just nothing. You don't have to say any kind of sensation. We don't want to think too much about it. We're just going to take a few seconds with that. And slowly go down to the eyes. Dry sensation, heat sensation, subtle, gross. And you could just scan the face as slowly as possible. And what this teaches you is dealing with reality as it is than as you like it to be, but with your body. Thank you, everybody. We're good. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for joining this meditation if you did. But if you didn't, we were not judging.
Thank you, George. That was beautiful.
Hey, yo, thank you guys for having me, man. It was a pleasure. It was a great time.
I
This was so
hope
fun.
you guys come back soon.
I hope
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
too, man. Always
you
keep
guys
on the
for being
grind,
on.
man. I support everything you guys do. You know what I'm saying? On the Instagram, YouTube, I support it. So just keep going, bro. Just
If
keep
you
going.
guys want to do your plugs real quick, I'll put them before all of the shit that no one probably listened to.
what do you mean, like plugs?
Like
Like your social
your
medias,
social medias,
your music,
like
your-
music
word,
streaming
word.
platforms, what you're on, what you're doing, what's coming up, anything.
All right, man. So you can find me on all platforms everywhere at 02 Dero. That's 0 spelled out, number 2, then Dero, Dero. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, everywhere. Google me, Bing me, do whatever you want. I'm everywhere, and plenty of music coming out. I got 2 singles dropping this December, and possibly a mini project or another single, but you'll find that out.
Yeah.
Nice. George?
You can find me at blackjack_raven on Instagram. It's all that I have. Maybe in the future we'll have what?
I texted you about this. Didn't you have a account for your writing? Is that
Yeah, I'm leaving that personal.
do I know that? I think I follow it, but I
You do.
forget what it is.
Literary dysfunction.
Okay. I could cut that out if you want
No,
me
you're
to.
good.
All right.
But yeah, you could just find me. I'm posting sometimes just my progress with ideas or just piano, but I don't know where that will go. I'm okay with that, but hit me up the jam.
Yeah, hit 'em with
Yeah,
the
man.
jam.
I'm down
All-
to jam.
I also highly recommend all of you follow their Instagrams at the very least. They post really cool stuff on their stories. Stuff that I always repost, like really good like life advice stuff, like random shit. You know, it's just
Always
always good,
support, man.
always good
support.
content. Anything that's
At the end of the day,
things that are important.
everything is love. You know what I mean? Everything
Fuck
is
yeah.
love here. So
None but love on the Instagram accounts for these two.
And nothing but love
Thanks,
here
y'all.
on Local Acts Only. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, you two. And let's go jam.
let's do it, man.
or-
Let's get a
or
little
jam.
jam in. I'm down for a jam.
I'm ready for a jam right now.
I need a bogey.
Well done, boys. That was. You get what I was going for now?
No, I mean, I to be honest,